Hello everyone, welcome to the Solace Podcast. My name is Finbar, my RuneScape name is MiniFinbar, and I'm the leader of Solace.
I'm Vior, and I am former rank 5 overall.
Hi, I'm Sorry Benita. My in-game name is Sorry Benita, and I am Sorry Benita.
Hi, I'm Sten, and I have 200 mil prayer XP and 200 mil construction XP.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is Brad or Bradfordly here. I am a 2-banana in Solace, and I am the real preserver of the old school field.
Hi, I'm Dumbfounded, and I'm trying to become a banana.
So, before we get started with the questions for this session, what has everyone been up to lately?
Nothing much really. I achieved 100 mil hunter about a week and a half ago, and ever since then I have just been woodcutting.
Mining at the moment. Also had a cheeky Nando's today, so yeah, that was pretty good.
Well, I recently got 200 mil construction. After that, I've done hunter because I want some capital for merching in the future.
Well, I'm still hunting. I recently hit 140 mil hunter, 68 mil farming, and I recently found out through testing on questionnaire that I actually have autism.
I just became a girl for the first time in game.
Congratulations. Let's see what I've done this past couple of weeks. I achieved 200 more crafting. I got the rank 1 Slayer day, my second day of slaying. It was 1.7 million XP. It cost me 2,600 points, and I've got back to rank 4 Slayer, so it's been quite productive. But on to the questions. The first question we've been asked for this session is, in your opinion, what is worse? 6-hour methods, this is referring to splashing or guffins, or alts?
I'm gonna have to go with 6-hour methods being worse, as they are, well, first of all, they were completely unattended, and second of all, I feel like they have a bigger impact, since money can be 0 time without alts anyways. You can easily flip for your money, and yeah.
I'm gonna go with alts being worse because they save you more time, like tutorial model. So yeah, they're worse in my opinion. And I like the idea of having to recraft for money. So yeah.
I'm not sure, to be honest, what I think is worse. I would assume when you say worse, I mean what has the biggest impact, or is...
It just be referring to game integrity or the biggest impact in the game.
Yeah.
It depends on how you want to look at it.
Yeah, if it's a good argument that you can still be able to make money in terms of money being 0 time for flipping if you're not using alts, but yeah, 6-hour methods are questionable as well, so they're both, I guess, pretty bad. I don't know. Next one.
Okay, so from my perspective, you have to look at it like this. So 6-hour methods are essentially botting. However, the skills in which you can 6-hour aren't worth very much in the first place and are not seen as impressive skills. However, while alts essentially give you unlimited GP, and in my opinion, the legalization of alts was the worst, or the second worst update to ever come to RuneScape in general, behind the Wheel of Fortune. So I would definitely have to say alts are worse, but just the sheer amount of time they save in terms of getting to them all soon.
I think that 6-hour methods are worse because, at least for alts, you actually have to put in the effort. With 6-hour methods, you can just sleep and get XP, and that's completely wrong.
For me personally, you can look at it 2 different ways. I would believe the 6-hour methods are worse because when you look at skilling, when you're using an alt, there's technically you still got to put an effort to do it. So there's an effort value attached to using an alt, even though it's 0 time and there's technically an unlimited source of GP. However, with 6-hour, you're not putting in any effort and you're getting 6 hours worth of experience, even though it's like 2.4 EHP or whatever per session. That's absolutely 0 effort for that XP. Whereas with alts, you've still got to put in effort. So I believe that 6-hour methods are worse in terms of game integrity. because they require 0 effort whatsoever, while alts still require effort. And you can flip as an alternative to using an alt, so 0 time money is still going to exist either way. But moving on, our next question is, what is the longest you've stayed up?
Well, RuneScape-wise, I think it's probably around 43 hours, and that was when I was doing my Slayer week. I think I've stayed up for like 46 or 47 hours in real life, though. A couple times.
I've never even stayed up 30 hours. I like every time we've had like a short comp, I've always taken like 20 or 30-minute naps, like 20 something hours in. So it's probably around 20, 28 or something hours, like RuneScape wise, probably longer. You don't not playing RuneScape there? I don't know.
The longest I've stayed up was when I did my 30-hour prayer record. Right after I was done with the record, I was planning to go to sleep, but unfortunately my parents came home and I didn't want to worry them, so I actually stayed up 15 hours more to go to bed at normal time.
The longest I've stayed up in terms of RuneScape was 46 hours. Basically, before my 30-hour agility record, I stayed up 16 hours prior to it, and for whatever reason, I just had like a ton of energy, and I decided to go for a 30-hour, and so that's where the 46 hours comes from. The longest period of time that I've stayed up non-RuneScape, well, I mean, it did contain some RuneScape, but it was when my friends Corey came to my house, RuneScape friend IRL, and I stayed up for a total of 53 hours. Which I guess I couldn't sleep because I was so excited to see him for some reason. Like, that sounds really weird, but yeah.
I'm not sure how long, but it couldn't have been much over like 24 hours. I'm not really a fan of staying up too much.
Understandable. For me, as long as I stayed up for RuneScape or non-RuneScape was while playing RuneScape. We had a 48-hour comp recently, well, a couple of months ago, and I stayed up for 43 hours of that in total, approximately. That's the longest I've stayed up for anything, really. And it's not as long as some people, but I'm not really good at no-lifing. The 30 hour I did for Slayer, for example, is the only serious 30 hour I've ever done. I find it quite hard to stay up that long. I think for many of us, we might find it easier to play a lot of hours in a week where we only sleep maybe 4 to 5 hours a night, as opposed to doing a continuous session.
Yeah, I agree. Just worth noting, I found it a lot easier to stay up for long periods of time while I'm not playing RuneScape, because I feel like when you play RuneScape, like your mind just gets super bored, and I feel like doing IRL things like playing a sport or something will be able to easily keep you up. Or like doing like agility or a hunter or something, your brain just gets delusional and you start sleeping in your chair or something.
It's interesting, we haven't really seen many cases of people staying up 100 or more hours at once, even though the human body is capable of doing so. So I remember reading a study about a 16-year-old called Randy Gardner. He was able to stay awake for 264 hours under controlled conditions without using stimulants, which is the longest recorded amount of time someone has intentionally gone without sleep. You never see anything close to that when people are playing RuneScape, so...
And he also didn't die as well. So.
Well, obviously, he suffered no
sick
long-term effects. It's kind of interesting that most high-level RSs can't play for nearly that long. They all stop at maybe 30 or 48.
And it's considering all the no-lifers in the history of RuneScape, there's been none that have been able to really stay up for really long periods of time. So.
I think it's mentally easier to have short breaks.
Oh, for sure.
Isn't Sco 703 one of the people that stay up do the long sessions? I heard.
Yeah, he did. He did like
3 hours of Dungeoneering came out.
Yeah, he did insane records. He had a schedule like Suomi where he stayed up like 40 hours and then slept like 8 or so.
Yeah, I guess it's just difficult for people from a mental perspective, even though it's physically possible. But moving on from that, our next question is, if you could make any skill more click-intensive, what would it be?
I'm gonna have to go with smithing. I don't know, I feel like some Bibles have actually recommend crafting. I feel like crafting... Oh, you're gonna say crafting? I'm sorry. With crafting, I don't know. I feel like just because like I burnt out of crafting, I'm not afraid to admit it. Like it was so boring. It's just the same repetitive action, and then you have to wait 12 seconds or so. I don't know. No reason other than that.
Yeah, I was gonna say crafting as well because most skills have like a click intensive alternative. Like you got cranberries for cooking or anti poisons for anti venoms for herb law, but crafting doesn't really have anything. Smithing as well to an extent. Well, I guess you got sea beating, but it's not really viable anymore. So yeah, probably crafting for that reason.
I actually think construction should become more click intensive because after all the construction updates, it's became quite easy. At least if you're doing mahogany tables.
Well, my original answer was crafting, but I don't want to be a mainstream person and say crafting, so I'm gonna say yeah, for sure. I'm gonna say like all, like maybe not magic, but all combat skills, like attack, strength, defense, range, because it would add an extra value to those skills. Maybe people, people would still 6 hour them, of course, but I mean if you saw someone like maybe doing like maybe make Slayer more click intensive, and I feel like a lot of the reason people don't value Slayer, especially maybe in the high level community, is because it's like it's AFK relative to most skills, and I feel like people would value combat a lot more. Value 126 is a lot more if it was click intensive.
I think that farming would be cool if there was another method for it and there's a click intensive method like a mini game or something.
Calquats.
I don't know if that really counts. How click intensive is that?
It's pretty click intensive.
Yeah, but that's a stupid method. So like a new method with farming would be cool if it was click intensive. I feel like the farm runs they're fun but quite boring. It's really slow.
I'm going to have to go with the mainstream crowd here and say crafting. Unlike most other viable skills, crafting lacks a highly click-intensive method to offer superior XP per hour. Herbal's got anti-venoms, smithing formerly had superheating, whereas every crafting method generally allows you about 11 seconds of AFK, I think. So a more click-intensive option for crafting would balance that skill well compared to other production skills.
So a way to make crafting click intensive, in my opinion, is they can make crafting to where if you add the battle staff to the air orb individually, it would like reward you with like, I don't know, like 33%, 50% more XP per hour. No?
That'd be so fast. Think about it. If it was 50% faster, you'd be getting almost 500k an hour. Okay, so how would you balance it then? I'm trying to think. Something that offered maybe 15% more, not 30 to 50. So how would they make it so you couldn't add it individually though? They could make it maybe something with dehype bodies instead rather than battle staffs. I'm not entirely sure what they do. It could be an entirely new method of crafting. We just have to see what the developers will come up with. However, it's unlikely we are going to intentionally get a more click-intensive method for crafting, because the team generally doesn't introduce these methods on purpose. So. But what if they made it like cooking, to where like you had to add it and then like left click or whatever to like make 5 or whatever you have to do for 3 tick cooking? You know what I mean? Would that still be really fast? Like, I don't know. It'd be fast, but I suppose it would just have to. Well, it would add an interesting contrast to crafting, because oldscaping while crafting efficiently would be more difficult than it already is. As crafting's currently quite AFK. Yeah. So yeah. But anyways, our next question, this is highly subjective, is, in your opinion, is it more impressive to go for 200 mils without being maxed?
I'm gonna have to say yes on this, just because I feel like when you do max, you have more of an incentive to train skills post 99, as you will be gaining overall ranks as well at the same time. And most people who don't max and they go for 200 mils, like not getting close to max and then going for 200 mils, like only going for the skills that they enjoy. That's the thing, like they're actually enjoying the skills, versus most max players, they do skills that are faster. I guess the quality of people that are going for 200 mils before max instead of after max, I guess is a lot better, higher.
Yeah, well, as Harm said, you've got an extra incentive once you max, obviously, overall ranks. So, and the other thing is you can't actually skill without getting post XP once you're max, but to go for post XP before you're max, it's kind of like, you're looking at the game more long term rather than just like short term maxing. I don't know if it's more impressive though. Like obviously, someone getting 200 mil mining after max is still going to be just as impressive as someone getting it before, in my eyes. I don't know. I think they're kind of the same, but respect people maybe a little bit more if they're not maxed. I don't know.
I don't think it's more impressive to do 200 mils before max. I think it's more special because most people are obviously going for max, but the reason why I don't think it's more impressive is because if you're going for 200 mil before max, it's probably because you enjoy it, and yeah, I don't see why it's more impressive to get 200 mil in a skill because you enjoy it compared to if you're not enjoying it.
Well, I definitely view 200 mils to be a lot more challenging when you're not maxed, because when you're not maxed, it's a lot more mentally challenging to stick to one skill, obviously. And I feel like with a maxed mentality, you could honestly do any skills. Like once you get 99 on all skills, you're able to pretty much train any skill you want to at any time, and you can skill hop at any time. If you're an account like me, where I only have 4 99s, but I have very high XP in all of them, like I'm basically forcing myself to stick to certain skills and making it more mentally challenging. And I can't, like, I guess considering my constraints, I can't really hop between skills that much. And I just find it, like, it's just so freaking sexy. Like an account like Den Game Deal in the chat, or Valini, high agility, high thieving. It's absolutely sexy. Like I could fap to that. It's freaking amazing. Like I just value it. It's so unique. Like it's so, I don't know. I just think it's so cool. It's just so unique, and it just shows you don't care about the overall picture. You don't care about stupid macro efficiency. You don't care about overall. You don't care about stupid imbuing, cough trickle. It's so dumb. Like I'm just not a fan. I don't know.
I think that the only time it's more impressive is if you have restrictions on your account. That's why you have like low stats. Like if you have too low stats to complete a quest or something that gives you the better methods, then it might be more impressive because you're dealing with lower XP rates. But other than that, I don't know why it would be more impressive.
I mean, I don't make a distinction between getting 200 mils pre-max or 200 mil post-max. It doesn't really make a difference in my opinion, unless, as Dumbfounder says, you've got restrictions on your account, which is why you can't max. And I feel like a 200 mil is a 200 mil, regardless of whether you're maxed or not. And we shouldn't idolize players who achieve 200 mils without being maxed, because players who achieve the same 200 mils while being maxed have put in an equal number of hours into that skill. Therefore, how is the achievement any different?
Because
That's true. Because
Yeah,
if
that's
that's
achievement
first,
different.
the skill could get devalued by that time. Hey.
But I think it's so much more mentally challenging though, Finbar, don't you think? Like people on the top page can just hop between any skill they want because they're 99 and they'll gain like the maximum HP.
I'll use your logic against you and argue that it's more mentally challenging not to max first, because you've got to train multiple skills for a relatively low number of hours, and then you go to training one skill for a higher number of hours.
Like what? I don't even understand anything you just said. Like, dude, it's so okay. Like it's so much. Like there have been so many times while training Hunter where I've been so tempted to go for max, go for completionist mentality, start training Slayer. Just so many different like things, and like it's a mental challenge to be able to stick to a skill without burning out. And like if you're max, you could do like anything, and you could just switch between anything you want. Like I don't know, whatever.
But who would go straight for a 200 mil if that person isn't enjoying it, Brad?
Wait, what? Wait, if they're doing it without enjoying it?
Yeah.
Well, that would make it even more impressive. If they're doing a skill and they don't enjoy it, therefore it's like 3 times more mentally challenging. Like, it's like me, like, because Slayer is going to be my next 200 mil. And so if I can't accomplish 200 mil Slayer, then I can't accomplish 200 mil. And so therefore, and I'm probably not going to enjoy Slayer that much because it's combat and it's not very autistic because you're doing a million different kinds of tasks. And like, I'm going to be
Mental
confused
challenge
AF.
is comparable whether you do it pre or post max. In my opinion, I don't agree with your logic because it's an assumption from anecdotal, like your anecdotal belief based on your personal experience and what you think other people are going to do. It's essentially an argument from ignorance, in my opinion. You need to remember that the number of hours for 200 mil is the same whether you do it pre-max or post-max.
Okay, so that begs the question then. Do you think doing 200 mils straight is more impressive than skill hopping?
Good question.
If best skill is click intensive, it is. If it isn't, nah.
I think it depends on the skills and depends on the player. I personally find skill hopping to be less impressive. That's just because I have this notion that if you can spend several thousand hours on a single skill in unbroken time periods, you are clearly very dedicated. Whereas skill hopping breaks the grind into several smaller sections of grind that might be easier for most players to manage, even though the total number of hours is identical. You cannot say that's the same for max because the number of hours for a 99 is significantly less than the number of hours for a 200 mil.
Okay, the reason that so many people have freaking high XP in RS3 is because you do like 8 hours of freaking dailies.
That's
and
because
so
RS3 has
easy.
dailies that enhance the XP per hour to such an extent that skill hopping becomes the metagame there. That's not the case in old school.
That's what I'm saying, and so it makes it more mentally easy to skill hop all the time. And so because you're doing multiple things, it's just easier. It's logical. It's more mentally easy.
The context of the statement mentally challenging is subjective though. It's based on your own opinion. Therefore, you cannot apply that to everybody else because you're using anecdotal evidence to do that. It's fallacious.
Why do you use complicated dictionary things? Whatever. See, this is how Finbar wins arguments. He just uses complicated words. But anyway,
you're committing a fallacy in that.
Okay, Finbar. It's like doing. Okay, Finbar. Imagine if you literally jump rope for 100 hours. Like you did that every single day for the rest of your life. In comparison to jumping rope, running, and playing basketball for the rest of your life. Obviously, you would eventually get bored of jump roping, and so you would go to a different sport. To more mentally easy, or it's just more mentally easy to not skill up. It just.
This has been very interesting, but I believe it is time to move on to the next question. So.
Defeated.
No, I disagree with you, and we can discuss this at length later. Anyways, would you still be playing old school RuneScape if they removed the high scores?
I probably would still be playing, but I definitely would not have the same mindset of going for XP. I honestly would probably be PVMing or PKing or just being like any other casual. I don't even think I would have maxed or have any 200 mils, to be honest.
Yes, I would, and I'd continue playing the same because I'm not maxed and I'm like ranked 2000 overall or something, so it doesn't really matter to me.
It's a very good question. I think I would still be playing, but there's no doubt that high scores is gives me some kind of motivation.
Okay, so basically, I've had Crystal Math Labs blocked for the past 4 months, and I've also stopped looking at the high scores for the past, or pretty much ever since I've gotten 200 mil agility, because 200 mil agility has made me into the most stressful person ever. Because I'm literally obsessed with agility or whatever. And so, the high scores gives you so much incentive to know life and grind. And I know I'm back to the mentally challenging thing, but if you're not competing with people, if you're not looking at the high scores, then it makes it more mentally challenging. And I don't know why I mentioned that, but yeah, I haven't really been competing with anyone for ever since I've been doing hunter, thieving, and farming. And so I've been just playing for fun, and honestly, it's a lot less stress-free if you're doing it without the high score. So I've generally enjoyed it a lot more than having to force yourself to log in each day and play, which could also be seen as more mentally challenging if you force yourself. But I don't know. I feel like I'm putting enough constraints on myself. So yeah.
I personally don't really care about the high scores. Maybe that's just because I'm bad, but I think that the whole game would be so much more different without the high scores. Like the general mindset of player would be way different. But for me, it wouldn't affect me at all, probably because I just play for fun anyway.
I live for my virtual high scores ranks, therefore I would be a casual if not for the high scores to keep myself motivated. In all seriousness, I do like that we have the high scores. I feel that this game is competitive, and it's competitive because we have high score tables that show who has the most experience in a specific skill. If we didn't have that, I can't imagine what competitive skilling would even be like, because you wouldn't have an objective way to compare yourself to other people unless you took screenshots to show your XP and compare it to other people's like they do in RuneScape Classic. Having high scores is integral to the competitive metagame, just competitive skilling in general. And without that, what is there really for high level skilling?
I mean, it's basically, you can easily compare it to the PVM quote unquote high scores they posted on Reddit, where people posted who has the highest kill count in a certain boss, and it kind of works the same way as clue scrolls as well. But those are kind of a hidden high scores.
I suppose there are different ways of looking at it. I'm interested that not everybody, but some of you would continue to play seriously even without the high scores.
I would generally be playing a lot. I mean, well, actually, I would probably be playing around the same hours just because I really enjoy talking to these guys and TS all the time. I just like really enjoyable to do like autistic skilling all day and then talk to these guys. It feeds my brain. I just love it.
Understandable.
If there was no high scores, we probably would have never met Brad.
That's true. That's true.
Alright, our next question is, what do you think of the calquat method for farming?
I guess it's kind of cool because like you can, it's like a real-time farming training method. At the same time, I really don't care for it. It doesn't have too much of an impact on farming skill, I guess. Except for records. I guess records are now owned by UTG, Master Calquat Farmer.
Fuck Zora. But it kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of a cool method. Like, I think I respect someone who did total farming with calquat planting more than someone that did like some daily magic trees or whatever, because like that's so easy. It's kind of a stupid method and it's only viable because of the price of seeds. So I don't know. Fuck Zora, yeah.
Yeah, the method really shows that it was a really bad idea to put calquats on the Solar drop table. No idea why they did that, because calquats was already like 1 GP XP before Solar came out, and there was no need to make that even cheaper. So yeah, but the method doesn't really have any impact. It's 0.1 HP an hour, so yeah.
This is a very interesting topic because I talked about this on the last podcast, how I wanted farming to be a skill not trained passively where it's a daily, because I really just like daily scape. It kind of annoys me that you can gain progress even though you're kind of not really on, if you know what I mean. And so I really like I like it, but I don't, because like it makes farming, I think it makes farming cheaper, I believe, if you do the calquat method to 200 mil.
Yeah, it does.
And it does, yeah. And so like I kind of agree with Vaughn. It makes farming into more of like a skill that like you can't, so I mean, it sounds weird to say multi-skill, but you can't like train it with other skills. Like you have to train farming straight in order to get 200 mil. I think it's like 70k farming XP per hour, and it would be pretty click intensive to train farming. And so I feel like it almost makes farming more impressive. However, I do really admire the dedication of the people that are able to do watermelons, herbs, and trees to 200 mil, just because you have to literally leave the method that you're doing every 80 minutes. And I don't know, that just requires a lot of dedication to do for like 2+ years, like 80 minutes. I mean, I don't know, I just find that extremely impressive. And you also have to stay extremely you have to stay on a schedule very well, especially if you're going to do trees. Like if you want to do 3 trees a day or whatever, 3 magic trees a day, you have to stay on a very consistent schedule to get 200 mil, and I definitely value that. So honestly, I honestly don't think, like, as what is it called again? One second.
Calquat?
The real preserve of the old school field, I feel like it doesn't devalue farming that much. However, ladies and gentlemen, it definitely did devalue records. It fucked over, like, Etz's farming records were absolutely dominant. Like I remember, like, because I tried to go for a really good farming day. It wasn't a 30-hour, but I mean, I stayed up for like 20+ hours, and I literally only got like I only like 0.6 of his day, and like I just find it extremely impressive how Etz's knowledge of farming, it's so impressive in my opinion. Like how he was able to do that, and so I'm not honestly sure on my answer which one is more impressive, but yeah.
I don't actually really know about this method. Like, do you just plant the calquats and then dig them up?
Yeah.
And you just get like, the planting XP or whatever? I think that's the funniest sounding method I've ever heard of, first of all. And I think that clearly it's not intentional, but I know a lot of other methods aren't either. I don't know, I think it's kind of ridiculous that there's a method like that.
Well, couldn't you say that for the same for construction? You're taking down a table and building it again.
Yeah, but that's more sense than planting a tree and digging it up, I think.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I like the way farming is, so
I see.
I like my boring little run in the morning that wakes me up.
I like the calquat method personally, because I think it doesn't devalue farming because conventional farming is still much faster. Whereas at the same time, it offers a grinding method for farming that people probably find. So if someone's in a rush to get into Sten, they have this option now where they can do a more intense method to get more XP per day than they would otherwise be able to achieve. So I don't think the calquat method's harmful, and it will continue to get more expensive over time due to the method becoming popular. So I'm essentially indifferent about it, although I agree with Brad in that it devalued records for farming.
So do you guys think, I kind of mentioned it in my discussion, but do you guys think terminal farming off calquats or conventional farming is more impressive?
I said calquats because I don't know, like it's more time spent, and just like I don't know, like the daily farming is just kind of easy. I mean, as long as you're playing, you're gonna be gaining farming XP, and it's not even hard to bank seeds or anything anymore because of GE. So yeah, probably the calquat method.
The thing with doing trees though is that you have to be consistent.
For years, yeah.
Well, I mean, you kind of have to be consistent to get terrible farming off calquats as well to an extent.
It's not that fast, so...
It's like a slow 200 mil. It's like, how does anyone know the XP an hour? It's like 80k.
80k,
right?
I think.
Yeah, so it's, I mean, I think that'd be impressive, like 200 mil farming off calquats.
I mean, that's still like 3k hours, which of doing a skill as intensive as almost construction right now. Is that right? Like almost as intensive as construction, because you're literally continuously plant them and then remove them, and that's pretty freaking like. I honestly am saying want to say calquats are more impressive. However, like I feel like I guess it wasn't intended. It's kind of sketchy, but then you could say that taking down a table then putting it back up isn't intended. Like I'm conflicted.
I see. Well, it's an interesting topic, and if you've got any opinions in the chat, feel free to let us know. We will be moving on from that, though, and our next question is, what do you think of the recent Dark Beast drop table buff?
I think the buff itself is good, but in comparison to wyverns, I think it's very silly how wyverns are still way more profitable than as a level 72 Slayer monster versus a level 90 Slayer monster that actually requires a decently difficult quest to actually unlock them. Yeah.
Rip Razor. Yeah, I mean, like, it's just, it should have been a bigger buff, but like, it should be better than wyverns, but I think that Dark Beast should probably be like 500k and wyvern should be like 200k. I don't know. Well, they shouldn't buff Dark Beast by much, but it should be more than that, and it should also be better than wyverns because obviously the requirements are a lot higher.
Sorry.
Yeah, what the two guys said, but I would really want the drop tables of wyverns and dark beasts to just switch, but that is obviously never going to happen.
Well, personally, I don't think I honestly think they balance Dark Beast perfectly well, because I've heard that Dark Beasts are like break even now. And I feel like that's almost balanced with Slayer pretty well, honestly. Like, I mean, if you want to do a profitable task, do like Abyssal. Like, if you want to just camp a monster, just do Abyssal Demons. I feel like they balance Dark Beast well because it's just like another task where you just break even. I think instead of like buffing Dark Beasts or something like that, I think they should nerf Wyverns altogether. So
yeah. Doesn't everyone use Neve anyway, and you can't even get Dark Beast from Neve?
Correct.
So I don't like nobody who has 90 Slayer kills wyverns for money.
Well, no one would kill wyverns either on the main.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, I don't understand why it really matters what the Dark Beast. Well, if it's higher, it'd be better, I guess, if it was a better drop table. But the way it is after the buff, it doesn't really make a difference because nobody really kills them anyway, right?
That's a good point. Part of the thing with Dark Beast buff is I saw many people asking for them to be made as good as Wyverns, if not better, but they failed to consider the fact that Dark Beasts are a unique monster in the sense that they are always aggressive towards you. They have no non-aggro period, so they are among the most AFK monsters in the entire game. All you have to do is drink a prayer potion, because if you melee them, you'll get maged occasionally, but you're primarily going to get melee by them. If they were as generous as Wyverns, we would start to see a multitude of Dark Beast ults, because people could run them more easily than Wyvern ults. When you combine this with the fact that Slayer Ring Teleport puts you very close to Dark Beasts, and you only have to worry about your prayer, not even your HP, I feel making them as powerful as Wyverns would be highly overpowered. At the same time, I think Wyverns should be nerfed slightly instead. We've got high expectations for Dark Beasts because they balance Wyverns poorly. I don't like that. I think you'd be better off nerfing Wyverns and keeping Dark Beasts as they are. However, nobody really kills Dark Beasts because they're not assigned by Neve, they're only assigned by Duradel. If they wanted to make Dark Beasts more popular, they would add them to Neve's assignment list. Although that would be at the expense of Duradel being even more useless than he already is. So we'll find out with the upcoming task rework if they're going to do that.
Finbar, do you think any other tasks should be buffed in terms of their drop table?
No, I think everything else is alright. Like, all the efficient tasks are generally pretty bad money, which is what you'd expect from a multi-combat cannon task, or a single combat cannon task like Bloodveld. I'm quite happy with the drop tables for just about everything. I feel they're quite well balanced. But yeah. So, our next question is, given the choice, which slow skill would you make fast, and which fast skill would you make slow?
I'm gonna go with fast skill first, just because hopefully I'll come up with something. For slow skill, I'm still deciding on that, but for the fast skill, I think I would prefer, in a world without Arty Knights, I'm gonna say that first, I would like thieving to be the slow skill, or the fast skill made slow, just because I feel like it'd be fun to do a long-term pyramid plunder, and yeah.
So, Harm, I'm just wondering, would you not respect someone who did 3K plus hours of Arty Knights?
I would.
For
My
making slow.
reasoning for making thieving slower is because pyramid plunder is fun. I wouldn't mind doing 3K hours of pyramid plunder. But for my slow skill to make faster, I'm just gonna randomly say runecrafting. I don't know.
What?
Yeah, devalue no one perfect. Sorry, buddy.
Sad.
Alright. Sorry, Sten.
Dude, Harm, Sten has like 62 mil RC. You just like put a middle finger up in his face. Whatever.
Sorry. I don't know. Make Abyss RC faster. Comparison to Lavas, and then no more lava drama.
Probably make fire making slower because it's like quite click intensive, I guess. So having it like a 3K hour skill would actually be kind of impressive if someone did children all that way. For slow skill faster, probably woodcutting because it's the fastest slow skill, so therefore making it faster would have the least impact.
This is a very difficult question for me to answer because the only skill I've done for a long period of time is runecrafting, and I don't think runecrafting should get any faster because of how easy it is and how rewarding it is in terms of money. So I don't really have any strong opinions.
Honestly, Sten, I'm quite surprised you didn't choose either prayer or construction to make a slow skill, but
yeah, but I feel like those deserves to be fast skills because they are click intensive. Yeah.
Okay, I kind of have a two-part sort of or three-part answer. Like, I would make a fast, like, I know this sounds stupid, but like if I can make a fast skill slow, I would make the overall XP of Slayer to be slower and devalued so much. However, if I couldn't choose that, then I would definitely choose crafting, because crafting, there's nothing valuable at all about crafting. It's a fast skill, it's AFK, there's no way to make it click intensive, and so therefore I'm trying to give crafting a somewhat respect value, and so I'm going to put crafting, I would want craft. Like, it'd be so. I mean, I would respect people if they did 60k crafting to 200 million. That's freaking insane. As for a slow skill becoming fast, oh my god, I don't even want to answer this question. I'm probably gonna have to say that wood cutting. Honestly, sorry to steal your answer, Vaughn, but I honestly, I don't have a reason. Like, I don't want to devalue skills pointlessly, so I'm just gonna say wood cutting because Harm's doing wood cutting.
To make one faster, I'd like to make mining faster because I hate mining. Avoid all the miners out there, and to make one slower, I think I'd make cooking slower, so that I could remove the term "sad cooker." So Ray can feel better about himself.
For a fast skill to make slow, I'd want it to be thieving. I feel thieving as a skill is very enjoyable, and it's almost a shame that it's as fast as it is, because the skill ends up kind of lacking respect as a result, even though the training methods, plunder and blackjacking, are quite intense. As for a slow skill to make faster, I feel perhaps agility would be the appropriate choice, because agility is already an easy skill, and I don't think most of the community would care if agility got faster than it already is. So I would not mind if agility received a buff in terms of XP per hour, but it wouldn't affect me personally at all.
Wow.
User has left your channel. No! Are you... No! Do not devalue agility! Okay, I don't even go. Okay, fuck you, Finbar. I am saying that Slayer is gonna be my Slayer skill. I'm gonna increase to 500,000 experience per hour. It's gonna be worse than Arthur. But anyway. Yeah, I would actually want that because then agility would be the slowest skill in the game, and yeah, respect. Okay, anyway, next question.
Jesus.
So now that you've heard that outburst from Brad, we will be moving on to the next question, which is, what are your thoughts on sailing?
Okay. Well, I don't know too much about sailing, and they really haven't given us too much information, but from what I have read, I really hope that sailing is not how they describe the shipbuilding aspect of training the skill. Because from what I got out of that, I feel like it's going to become sort of a daily thing, or similar to farming, where you just pay the people to make your ship. You check on it when it's done, and then you sell it off and repeats. I don't want that. I don't want another daily.
Sailing, no. I don't want sailing. I read the third dev blog and I was like, nah. I don't know. I was up for it. Dev blog 1 and 2. I was like, it's gonna be fine, maybe. And then this third dev blog came, and I was just like, no, voting no straight away.
I'm not really sure, to be honest. I feel like it has potential, but don't really have a strong opinion.
Okay, I'm gonna like fire shots right here. I hope sailing like devalues Slayer somehow. It makes it like friggin' like 100k an hour or something. But anyway, I haven't actually read the sailing dev blog just because I'm too autistic to read. So yeah, but I like the number one thing. Like, I honestly wouldn't mind it at all if it basically what is it called? It didn't devalue any other skill by making it multi-skillable, in which it would devalue other skills in the process. Like, it would actually be pretty decent if you use like several skills to train. Like, I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore, but never mind. I mean, okay, I'm stupid. I would want, like, it'd be so cool if you had like boat PvP situations where it's like you're firing a cannon at another boat and you just like wreck someone, and yeah, you get sailing XP for it or something. I don't even know anymore. Next person.
Honestly, I'm kind of worried that it'll make it into the game because I don't really trust them with this update. And once it's in the game, it's in the game. So if they don't do it well, we're stuck with some shitty skill that nobody likes. And I just don't think that they're going to do it well, so I won't be voting yes for it.
Good answer.
Yeah, very. They have absolutely fucked up in the past. That might happen again.
Yeah. I'm ambivalent about sailing due to the ambiguity of the sailing development blog. They have not fully outlined what the training methods are going to be like, and the initial development blog where they spoke about how you would train sailing concerns me, because they spoke about shipbuilding as a means to train sailing every like couple hours. I very much dislike the idea of having another farming skill. and I would prefer if sailing was something that you would grind continuously, similar to most other skills other than farming. Therefore, I'm going to remain ambivalent about the Slayer development blog until I receive more information. I'm concerned about other skills being devalued, and I'm concerned about sailing being a daily. Two things I would not like to see. Although if any skill has to be devalued, I would prefer it to be something like agility or runecrafting.
Crafting. 100 mil bonus crafting XP for more.
I know, dude. It'd be so funny if sailing.
One of my chief concerns is if sailing offers passive crafting XP, I will be very upset because I have recently achieved 200 more crafting, and all my hard work will have gone to waste.
I would die laughing if sailing devalued every single fast skill in the entire game. So everybody that was trying to be macro efficient became inefficient, and so therefore I'd respect them in a sense. But
I don't think I'd die laughing. I think I'd just die. So let's hope that sailing doesn't devalue anything.
Congratulations, Brad, for them, the new leader of Solace.
Yeah, so we'll leave you to climb my world.
The only thing I really like about sailing, honestly, is the skill cape. I love the dark navy blue trim with the white cape. I just love that color combination. It's amazing.
Wait, did they show a cape?
They haven't shown. People have created concepts of what a skill cape might look like, but the Jagex team have not yet made one themselves.
Thanks for leading me on there, Brad.
Our next question is related to sailing as well, though. So, will you train sailing if it comes out?
Initially probably not. Also, I really don't want to. Okay. Let me rephrase this. For me to actually train sailing, it's gonna have to really be appealing to me. It's gonna have to, I keep saying it's gonna, whatever. It's gonna have to look really fun, and it has to, I don't know, it's gonna have to turn into my favorite skill. I said it again. But I really don't want to train a new skill just because I want to be off the top page of the high scores.
Probably won't train it when it comes out. Just let other people find out what's best because I'm too lazy to do it myself. Wait till someone makes a guide, not a guide, but finds out the best method. Also, I'm going to be at uni at the time it's released, so I won't be able to compete in it. So it doesn't really look very appealing. Yeah, I'm probably not going to train it, to be honest. Plus, it's not worth me stopping what I'm doing. I'm not just going to change my goals. I don't know. Just because a new skill comes out, so now I won't train it.
Yeah, pretty much exactly as well. Going to make some other people figure out the efficient methods.
I know this is really random, but every single time I answer a question, I always pick up all my traps just because I'm too autistic and I can't do two things at once. But anyway, will I train sailing? I mean, I feel like everybody here is being ignorant, I'm not going to train it because I don't know what it's like. I feel like it'd be interesting to figure out a new skill for the first time in adventure like that. Even though I'm autistic and I like to do the same thing, I feel like it'd be kind of fun to try to, develop new methods, try to find new methods. I don't know, it's kind of cool. But I probably won't train it just because it probably will honestly devalue it. It'll probably devalue at least one skill in the process. So yeah, so I'm probably not gonna train it.
Yeah, I'll train it if it comes out because I want to be maxed. So if it comes out, I have to train it. Obviously, I'd like to see how it was first, like everyone else said.
I will become mini sailbar and pursue rank 1 in the skill. Not really, but I would like to, if it comes out, I'd like to train it to 9 times as quickly as possible because I want to remain on the top page overall. And in order to do that, I'm going to have to train sailing immediately. I also like the idea of figuring out the new skill. I played when summoning was released, when dungeoneering was released, and when divination was released in RS3, and I enjoyed the first weeks of those skills because it was exciting trying to figure out the best methods to train them. This was especially true for dungeoneering, but I'm hoping sailing is complex enough that quite an elaborate metagame develops around the skill, so that high levels can cooperate to try and figure out the best methods, as opposed to divination where there was one method for every level range, so it was very straightforward. But I'll definitely train it on release, no matter what it's like, because I want to preserve my overall rank and max again.
Just an added question, what would you guys prefer the XP rate of sailing to be?
80 to 100k, I think would be ideal.
120k.
40k.
Ooh.
1k.
Fast if it is click intensive, slow if it is FKable.
What about you, Brad?
Considering it's a viable skill, or it'll probably be a viable skill, I'd like to see a slow viable skill, because at the moment we don't really have that. I guess we have runecrafting.
Slayer is a slow Bible.
Yeah, that's true, I guess. XP rate, I guess I'd probably want it to be as slow as possible, just because it just makes the grind of 200 mall more impressive in the long run, and therefore less people will be able to achieve it, and so therefore only the people that are actually mentally capable will be able to achieve 200 mall. So yeah.
Wow.
I'm going to be forced to train it if they try to incorporate the introduction of Zaya with sailing, so rip.
It probably will, honestly. It would make the most
Forced to get
sense.
99 there.
No.
But speaking of sailing, they plan on running a survey next week to assess what players want out of the skill. So we should expect to see a poll on sailing probably within the next month after the survey results are out. So you guys might want to keep up to date with Q&A streams, JML Twitter, and news posts in regards to sailing, so you can get as much information before voting in the poll. Our next question, though, is, hypothetically, if you could replace your stats with anyone in old school, who would it be?
I'd have to go with Viper Kai. His low, others like the stats that he doesn't tray are pretty low, and the ones that he actually enjoy, he trains, and I don't know, that appeals to me. I just like his build.
No one, because who wants stats that you didn't earn?
First of all,
respectable.
I guess I like his stats because he has some 2 mil in fast skills and a lot of XP and some slow skills as well.
I would definitely have to go with Malt Lickies. Well, actually, no, it's false. I would go with what's his name, Mini Finbar, just because Slayer is easily going to be the most challenging skill for me to get 200 mil in, and I honestly don't think I'm capable of getting 200 mil in it. And so him, like his moral, like if I was to actually become him as well, even though that'd be weird, basically, yeah, having his mentality of being against alts and Guthams and stuff like that, I'd like his high Slayer XP just so the mental grind would be easier to be able to finish 200 mil Slayer. And Finbar has like 13.034431 agility XP, and so I get to do 200 mil again. Yay! Next person.
Nobody.
Lame.
If I could not be myself, I would actually like to have Vestfold stats, because Vestfold has high XP and skills that I dislike personally, such as fishing and agility, while Vestfold has a pathetically low amount of Slayer XP. Therefore, if I had his stats, I would just be able to train Slayer without feeling compelled to train the other skills, because he's already got nice round numbers in most of them. But ideally, I wouldn't really want to change my stats with anybody, because I like my account as it is, and I would feel like those stats were not earned.
Well, see that you have to answer, you can't just not answer the question. See,
Oh, of course.
Obviously, in a real world, I wouldn't actually change my stats with anyone, because I feel like if I had your stats, Finbar, I feel like I wouldn't have actually earned 60 whatever mil Slayer XP you have. So yeah,
it's evasion, obviously, trying to evade the question,
no,
but
it's not really. If that was the question, it'd be whose account do you think is the nicest, not who's really want to swap the stats with.
I thought it was also assuming you went through the process of training all the stats yourself.
it just depends how you interpret it. But moving on from that, we have a question that I suspect will garner interesting responses. So, what are your thoughts on a trade limit being added to old school RuneScape?
Wait, can you still flip effectively with trade limit? I think you can.
Yeah, you can.
Then,
Zarfa and Jadella were able to flip very well with the GE prior to free trade being introduced. So you can still assume that flipping will be viable. It will just be different.
I think I'd be for it then, just because there'd be no need for, or you wouldn't even be able to use alts anymore. I think that'd be pretty cool to see how top page and all high scores pretty much would turn out without the trade limits, as well as you can't take donations. Or stake, can you? I don't think so.
Can't stake.
you could do I'm pretty sure you could do friendly stakes.
Yes, but you can't stick for GP.
I think it'd actually be a really, really good update. Like, as far as game integrity goes, it cuts down real world trade, like alts, obviously, staking. But the other thing is, if it was introduced, then probably quite a lot of people would quit, and probably not a good thing for the game long term. So, looking at a selfish point of view, I'd probably like one, but yeah, like if I'm thinking about the long term success of the game, I probably wouldn't want it added just because I feel like the game would die quicker.
Oh my god, you guys have no idea how much I want the trade limit removed. Like Craigasm, the times 10. Oh my god, flipping would be so much better because like alts will not exist, and like the absolutely most efficient way to make money will be through flipping.
Ladies and gentlemen, if there was a trade limit, there would be absolutely zilch cheating in RuneScape. And yeah, and trading as well, because people wouldn't actually trade in game. But dude, it would be so sick. Literally, it would be as sexy as Iron Man, but on regular accounts. And so therefore my temptation to make an Iron Man would decrease. If there was a trade limit, there'd be no RWT, no alts, no people scamming, I would love it, mate. It was so sick. I mean, like, I've been so passionate about this for so many years. Like, it would just be so sexy if no one could cheat. Everybody would be fair. Fair competition for everyone in the entire game. Imagine a perfect world of people not being able to cheat. Oh my god, mate. I would respect even Randy. Randy would be on my most respectable players of all time because of his ability to not take donations. He would get terminal construction via, well, actually, I don't think he's capable of getting terminal construction without donations. But anyway, yeah. Okay, dumbfounded. There you go.
I feel you, Brad. I feel you.
I think that if the game had started off with the trade limit, that would be good. But honestly, when it first happened, when they put it in, it caused too much chaos. So I think as long as the game had started with the trade limit, then I would be in favor of it. But I don't think that it's a good idea to just slap it in.
I agree. The trade limit essentially does offer a more egalitarian system for making money because theoretically, without alts, you could argue that everyone is equal. You can't receive donations, you can't get scammed, you can't get lured, you can't get hacked or anything like that. So, I say economically it's egalitarian, but at the same time, we couldn't just throw the trade limit into old school because people would prepare for it in advance, which would lead to a greater imbalance. And we've already had people make a lot of money from oldscape. So if I wanted the trade limit, I would rather it be something we had from the start as opposed to just being introduced. But I love the trade limit era. It's my favorite time of RS back in the day, and I sorely miss it because I feel like it solved a lot of the problems with the game.
Finbar, can you give us a definition on egalitarian?
Essentially equality.
I see.
Egalitarianism is like a way of thinking that favors equality for everyone. I feel like the trade system is trade limit is fairer overall as opposed to free trade.
I see. And see, I honestly hate this question because all of us agreed. But see, it would be interesting if we had someone like in the PK community or the PVM community that like RWTs all day long and would have a different opinion than us. But yeah.
Yeah, the trade limit made it
More difficult
really,
to RWT.
and for pickers like all the PvP systems and
Yeah.
Well, you can still RWT with the train limits.
You could. It's just more difficult.
Sure,
The trade
just to
limit
get
had
an
its
X on.
flaws with PKing and PvM, and to some extent with PVM because free for all wasn't really possible anymore. But I still think it was better for the game. We're just never going to see it because the developers understand that it would be unpopular for the masses.
Oh, for sure, a lot of people would quit if they removed that.
Yeah.
Like, you could argue more people would quit over that than EOC.
It was poorly received the first time around, and I don't think the community would ever allow it again. But yeah, we can dream. Anyways, our next question is a comparison. Would you rather do 200 mil Hunter of Crimson Swifts or 200 mil runecrafting doing air runes at Falador?
Runecrafting, Hyphaia runes, just because I really do not like hunting Crimson Swifts. The first like 20 levels or 17 levels or whatever it is with Hunter is extremely stressful. I really don't like failing traps. It annoyed me with Chinchampas as well, but not to that great of an extent. I don't know, there's just something about the bird going into the trap and going away. I don't know. Just the animation annoys me itself. I don't know why. I'd rather just grind out RC with Ayers.
Crimson Swift's the most AIDS thing in the entire game. Like, they are so bad. They're awful. I couldn't do them like that. Probably runecrafting, because I feel like whatever rune you're doing, like you could just do a Ring of Wealth, teleport to falador, park, whatever, run to the bank that way. And that's kind of like just any runecrafting. Doesn't matter what rune you're doing, it's kind of similar. You could just like not play an OS buddy and ignore your XP rate, and it would kind of just be like normal runecrafting. So I'm gonna go with that one.
Yeah, the funny thing is that I actually trained to 54 runecrafting on air runes. I know. It was at the start of old school, so I used all the money to train magic. So I actually enjoyed it, to be honest. So yeah, definitely air runes.
Personally, I actually don't think hunting, like doing 5 trap Crimson Swifts would actually be pretty sick, honestly. I've always dreamed of the hunter skill becoming more extensive, and you being able to do like teasing stick methods like catching groks, catching kayaks, and like catching birds. Like imagine a level 80 bird you can catch for like, I don't know, like 100k hunter XP an hour. And I feel like it would definitely diversify like hunter and like honestly, I would actually do like birds, like a decent amount of XP, but I'm using the GP for farming. But like, I feel like it wouldn't even be that bad. Like I really like the idea of hunting birds for some reason. Like, I don't know. Like I feel like with runecrafting air runes, you could just use runners. I mean, I guess.
It says falador.
It's assuming solo runecrafting.
I guess if it's assuming, yeah. I mean, I don't know what I would honestly rather, because I've never honestly done runecrafting before, and I've never really hunted red or Crimson Swifts for long periods of time. I don't know. I'd probably say Crimson Swift though, just because I enjoy Hunter a lot.
I was gonna say the same thing as Brad about the 5 traps. Like I feel like with 5 traps, it wouldn't even be that bad. It'd still be shitty, but it would probably be faster than air runes.
And your success rate for them would be a lot better, but sorry.
Yeah, that's true. Also, I think that you'd probably have like a green stack of those red feathers when you're done, and it looks so sick.
True.
I'm of the opinion that hunting Crimson Swifts to change my hunt would likely land me in the early grave, or I just quit, because they are extremely tedious even at low level. I'm not sure if I could even get to the point where I get a high success rate, for example 80 plus hunter. I think I would rather do runecrafting just because it's not nearly as tedious, even though the time required is significantly longer. Now, they're both it's like a options choice. They're both terrible options, but I think I would go with the runecrafting over the hunter.
You would honestly make so much money off 200 mil runecrafting with air runes.
Oh, yeah,
it's like 9
definitely. times
air runes. That's probably like how much GP per hour do you got? It's like 300k. Like I don't even know, honestly.
You'd make 374 million air runes from 99 to 200 mil. Because it's 10 XP per essence and it's 5 XP. It's obviously 187 divided by 5 is 37.4. So be a lot of air runes.
Dude, a lot of feathers as well.
Yep. Alright, moving on from those horrible options that I'd never like to consider. How should AFK alternative methods be balanced? This question is referring to how Motherload was balanced as opposed to Granite, and how Rooftop Agility was balanced opposed to conventional courses. How do you feel these more AFK options should be balanced against existing options that are more click intensive?
I'm gonna use fishing for example. If you 3-tick fishing, it's about 40% faster than AFK 5-tick fishing. I don't know. For the effort and the skill required to actually 3-tick fish, I think that's actually kind of fair.
Completely depends on both methods of training. Obviously, like with RD and Dog's more click intensive, but it's not that much more click intensive that warrants 40% more experience or anything. So I don't know. I feel like if it's like real AFK, like AFK barb fishing, I feel like fishing is a good example. Like 60k an hour versus 100k or whatever it is. Also, no profit is important for me. Like with Motherload, there's obviously an extra incentive. which makes it almost efficient if you're not alt using and going for max. So I mean, the GP incentive is kind of huge. Should be no GP and like 60% of the XP rate, depending on click intensity of both skills.
Yeah, everybody seems to say that fishing is the most balanced skill, so I'll go with that as well.
In an ideal world, I would definitely prefer if there was no AFK methods in the entire game. I mean, how cool would that be? There was no possible way you could AFK, so therefore every achievement in the entire game would be respectable, pretty much, unless you guys took donations or whatever. But if we were to assume that AFK methods had to be in the game, I would like, I'm tempted to say like 0.4 EHP per hour compared to the main method, but I'm honestly not sure. Because currently there it's because I also don't want them to be 0.4 across the board. I love how RuneScape skills have variety, and there's different AFK methods for every single different skill, and so it's not the same, you know what I mean, for every single skill. So I guess in an ideal world where I had to have AFK methods, I'd probably say 0.4 EHP or XP per hour compared to the click intensive method.
I don't know, Brad. Isn't agility pretty AFK?
Okay, G, calm your tits. Okay. See, this is the problem with RS3, because the AFK methods are so close to the efficient methods, and so everybody just does the AFK methods, and yeah, so that's why RS3 went down that negative path. But
Anyway, I think that fishing is a great example of how the method should be distributed XP rate wise.
oh, and I just wanted to say, I did 30 mil XP at Dorg and 20 mil at 8. Get off my nuts, mate.
Like everybody else, I'm going to have to be mainstream and say fishing is a prime example of effective balancing. Free ticking versus 5 ticking, I think, is very fair. And I would like other skills to have similar ratios if we have to have AFK methods. Although, as Bond said, I believe it's important that they don't offer too much profit, because for players who don't oldscape and don't flip, that profit it adds to, like, it increases the efficiency value of the AFK method. In the case of Motherload, this was almost to the extent that doing Motherload would be more efficient than doing Granite, which we should be trying to avoid, preferably.
And I also wanted to say really quick, I did not AFK agility. I did not watch TV shows or movies or even YouTube videos while I did agility. I 100% trained it with music and TS and Skype. So yeah.
Our next question is possibly the most controversial you'll see in this entire podcast, so I suggest everybody brace themselves. Should runecrafting EHP post 91 be changed to 60k an hour as opposed to 27k an hour?
I definitely support this, just because the fact people argue they don't want to be forced to use alts. You can actually make plenty of money off of flipping, well more than enough from doing all the slow skills before your Bibles to get enough for 200 law. But if for some reason, assuming that this did not happen, I do think at least after, I think around 165, 170 mil RC XP, it should be changed to lava rates, just because you don't really need to get all the way to 200 mil from nats to afford 200 law.
So I used to be afraid of the change from runecrafting EHP to lavas. Since then, I've been brainwashed by Mini Finbar, and now I believe that lavas are the way forward. A change in the EHP rate doesn't actually affect what is efficient or not in game. At the moment, nats are not efficient to do, so if you're runecrafting nats, doesn't matter what EHP is, you're not being efficient. EHP should be an accurate representation of efficiency, and doing nats isn't efficient, so why should they give EHP? Yeah, it should be changed to lavas. I know a lot of people don't want to lose 200 EHP off 20 more runecrafting, just like me, but to be honest, if you're thinking non-selfishly, it's like it should be changed. The only reason people say no is because they don't want to lose EHP, and it's kind of dumb to think that way.
Well, the definition Foot has in terms of what XP rates he wants to base the CML rate is what was it again, Minifinbar?
Sorry, what was it?
Like, what's the definition of what Foot wants to base the CM?
The most efficient methods to 200 all that are also realistic.
Yeah, and in terms of realistic, I would assume he means the persons who are like very good at a game or maybe the best, and if you like use that term, I think it's very obvious that the CML rate should be changed to lavas. But however, I have my own subjective opinion that I think it will be much more interesting to base the CML rates on not on what's efficient, but based it on actually what people is actually doing, because when the like time played shows a bit more who are actually is going to most likely be first to Merlal. I think the reason why I have this opinion is because I'm writing these top 50 updates and are a bit interested in who's going to be first to Merlal. So yeah.
So this is like the ultimate selfish question of all time. Basically, hypothetically, let's just say Silverhawk boots were added to, well, actually, let me give a better example. Let's just say a 500k agility XP per hour method was added to old school. Imagine how idiotic I would look if I were to say it shouldn't be changed because that's too overpowered. That's essentially what everyone doing lavas is saying, that it's too overpowered and like all my XP has been devalued. I've gone through that shit. On RS3, I did 3.3k hours of agility, Barb Advanced and Gnome, and it basically, like, a year later, it got devalued to 0 hours by Silverhawks. And so, for me to say that it shouldn't be changed to 0 EHP is just 100% selfish. I don't really understand Foot's reasoning. I mean, morals are completely irrelevant in terms of changing EHP. Alts are now the metagame. Alts are very extremely overpowered, and honestly, if you don't use alts, you're an idiot. If you're going to compete, of course. And so, I mean, it makes sense to change the EHP rate to lavas, just because. I mean, and you also have people getting over EHP, which I also don't think should happen. So an ideal solution would be to change. I mean, I don't know if Foot is capable of doing this, but make it so. What is it called? The EHP tracks your stats when the EHP rate was what it was. So basically, if you did 150 mil rune crafting off Nats, and the EHP rate was 26k, you'd retain that amount of EHP. And if it was changed to lavas, then after that, you would get the lava EHP rate. And so it would be a lot more fair on people's achievements and it would also show what achievements what methods they actually did for that 200 mil. Like, imagine no one perfect, like, people in the future might assume that no one perfect used lavas to 200 mil or used runners purely to 200 mil. And so it kind of devalues it in a sense to not, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm just talking in an ideal world. That's what I would like it to be. So yeah, in the end, I think it should definitely be changed to lavas, and I think it's a bit ignorant to not change it to lavas just because people have done a certain amount of achievement at a certain XP rate.
I think that I understand both sides. Like, I understand why people wouldn't want to lose their EHP, but right now, the way it is people can get over EHP, and it just looks like people are having more hours played than they actually do because they did lavas post 91, right? So it just looks like they have more EHP when they don't, so I don't see why it matters if the EHP, or I mean, I think it should be changed because people have inflated EHP and it doesn't really matter about the EHP rate. You can do whatever method you want. I think people think about EHP way too often.
Yeah.
And it also brings up, I'm sorry. No, Finbar, you can answer first. I have a secondary question.
Well, I was going to say, as a staunch advocate of changing runecrafting EHP, I have a lot of reasons for why it should be changed. Primarily, it's because flipping is a realistic way to make money for 200 mil all. This is undeniable. And so, why do we have runecrafting to be assumed as an efficient method when you can either oldscape or you can flip? A lot of players like to say CML should only be solo play. I shouldn't have to make an ult to be efficient. I understand that perspective, but you can flip instead. You don't have to oldscape. Runecrafting is not an efficient way to make money for 200 mil all, and people don't seem to get this. Now, every time I bring this up with other high-level skillers who don't agree, they generally come at me with one argument. It's like this. If runecrafting EHP got changed, all skillers would start flipping for GP. This means if everyone's flipping, flipping is no longer viable. There are two flaws with this argument. One issue with the argument that everyone's going to start flipping is that oldscape is an alternative method of making money, and not every top skiller would start flipping. The other issue is that the statement, let's say you say, flipping won't work for everyone because everyone's going to do it. That's an example of what is called a just-in-case fallacy. It's essentially assuming a worst-case scenario where flipping doesn't work because 500 high levels start flipping all at once. It's not realistic, and it's not what would actually happen. I think the primary reason most people don't like it is because they don't want to lose 300 to 500 plus EHP, which is silly in my opinion because EHP values are currently inflated anyways. Lavas are efficient to do, it's just CML hasn't recognized that yet. So I don't understand why people care about losing EHP that they shouldn't really have in the first place. Therefore, I don't understand why other top skillers don't agree with the logic that runecrafting EHP should be changed because natures are not efficient. It's quite obvious natures are not efficient to do because flipping and altscape have been proven to exist as viable alternatives.
You also have to. Oh, are you done?
I'm done.
I was gonna say you also have to consider that every single skill in the future will one day be devalued. It's undeniable. Unless like Jax goes broke and they stop making money, every skill will one day be devalued. And so, I mean, are you just gonna say that for every skill that gets updated? I mean, yeah. But I also wanted to discuss. So do you guys also think that Guthan should be changed to 0? I mean, Melee should be all changed to 0 hours.
That's a
Yes.
topic we'll discuss. That's another topic for another time. But yeah, I do think it should.
Oh, okay.
The runecrafting, the logic used against why runecrafting should be changed is fallacious, and I would strongly urge other high-level skillers who are against runecrafting ESP to be changed to consider the counter-arguments. The argument that flipping can be used instead of runecrafting for money is very strong, and it's practically irrefutable in my opinion. I have not seen a single convincing counter-argument to that statement yet. Maybe someone will come up with an argument that states that flipping is not viable for X, Y, or Z. And if they can give me a reasoned argument that's logically consistent, maybe I'll agree with them. But until then, I am of the opinion that runecrafting HP should be changed because zero-time alternatives exist that are viable for 200 all, and you don't have to make an alt to succeed. I made a thread about this on CML. It was received very poorly though, so I'm just of the opinion that high-level skills are just too set in their ways and are unwilling to accept change. It's kind of silly because the EHP metric is supposed to be the most efficient realistic method for 200 all, and Lavas is the most efficient realistic method for 200 more crafting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your solution, Brad, though, about changing EHP rates to be static, like what you gained at the time, because someone could just do lavas now and say EHP gets changed 1 year down the line. The amount of people that would have done significant runecrafting experience, people in the future would have seen the adult natures. So it's kind of like dumb. They just keep their inflated EHP.
Yeah. And by the way, Finbar, okay, I'm just thinking randomly, like, I feel like a negative thing to flipping that I just trying to come up with is you're abusing the noobs, mate. You're abusing the noobs who sell low and buy high. So therefore, you're like using alts or something, which is the same thing as using a wyvern alt. So therefore, hypocrite. I'm just kidding.
I'm not abusing the nerves. See, part of the reason why I think flipping is so viable is look at my good friend Wilson. He has 12, 13 bill plus, all from flipping. And he has made that in less than a year, or around a year since, he's made like 10 bill plus since the GE came out. This shows that a dedicated, intelligent flipper can easily make the money required for 200 all.
It's also,
Yeah, I understand why some people don't agree with it, but I do believe that arguments are logically inconsistent.
also, it's sort of inevitable that most top players are going to be doing lavas anyways, so I think it's sense having them just sitting up there at high inflated EHP when they have like an unfair advantage on the people that are doing nats or whatever, because people are going to do nats anyways, thinking that they'll get 1 to 1 EHP, and other people are going to do lavas getting 1 to 2.7 or whatever.
Yeah.
But also, it'll ruin a lot of EHP records, and already has had an effect on EHP and runecrafting records.
In short, it should be changed. And if you don't think so, you're not looking at it critically.
The people with the EHP ranks are going to lose them anyway, because once people start doing lavas, they're going to lose the ranks regardless.
The reality
so-
is the oldscapers and the
Yeah.
flippers are going to do lavas anyways, so you've only got temporary runecrafting. You've got a temporary high amount of EHP. Like, your rank isn't going to improve because you're doing natures.
I
Go on.
was always very disappointed when I saw the threat you made, because it's so obvious that you should try to enter that discussion as neutral as possible, whether you have high runecrafting XP or not. And it seems like people didn't do that, and it both surprised me and disappoints me.
Yep. I agree, Stan.
Alright then, I'll leave everybody to contemplate that change. Our next question is, what are your thoughts on a tournament like the PvP one, except for skilling, which also offers $10,000 in prize money?
I think it'd be cool as a skiller, but in Jagex's shoes, I don't think it would be a good idea. It wouldn't be interesting at all. It wouldn't really be a good form of advertising, I guess.
It's not a good idea. Just because they couldn't get a good format. Like, doing 1 hour in a skill is so bullshit. It's so random. Like, doesn't I don't know. Being able to do XP for 1 hour isn't very impressive. And winning a tournament for 10 grand shouldn't be based on that. So, like, ideally they do like a 30-hour a week comp. But then again, people don't have free time. Not everyone has the same amount of free time, so that's not viable either. Basically, they couldn't have a good format, and the stream would probably get DDoSed anyway, so it's not a good idea.
I feel like it's not an interesting question, to be honest, because it's never going to happen, because it's not entertaining to watch.
My deal with it isn't really that it wouldn't be entertaining to watch or whatever. My deal would be that simply people would abuse the hell out of AHK to win the tournament. And I feel like, but if hypothetically you couldn't use AHK, I feel like it'd be amazing, because it would define who is the best skiller, in my opinion. Like, who can drop the best oral mining, who can hunt the best, who is the jack of all trades, who can do every single skill in the most micro efficient form. However, obviously people would use AHK. See, like, the problem I have with the PvP tournament, although they are very skillful PKing, I don't deny it all, their clicks are amazing. I feel like it's heavily dependent on RNG, and if you could just hit a 73 and kill someone in one shot, I don't think that's nearly as skillful as being able to mine granite manually, or 3-tick fish, for example. I think those are a lot more skillful and define I don't know, just how good you are as a skiller. Because I don't know. That's just my opinion, though.
Oh, sorry. I think that the PvP one was stupid as hell anyway, so the skilling one would suck too. Because rewarding money for competitive RuneScape is the most retarded thing I've ever heard.
I honestly think the commentary would be something like, Vior mines the rock. Vior gets the imbue off. Is he gonna miss a tick? He misses the tick. He's now behind. Everyone gets really hyped. And then, look, his XP's down to 79k. Can he pull it back? Can he take the win for his team? It'd just be so bad, because it's competitive skilling, it's not PvP. I don't think it would ever be viable, because there's just not enough interest in that kind of thing. As amusing as it would be for other high-level skillers to watch, it's not viable due to the way that skilling is in this game.
I mean, as a skiller myself, I could definitely honestly respect the amount of skill that PKing requires in terms of hybriding and stuff. Like, their clicks are absolutely insane. Like, their use of F keys and being able to click on their targets is absolutely amazing. So, yeah.
And you could have RNG to, like, look, the chin's running away. Is he gonna? He hits a 0 on the chin. Oh, it would be hilarious, frankly, but at the same time, it would just not be practical.
But Finbar, you have to admit, though, there'll be a lot less RNG involved in the skilling than the
yeah,
PKing,
for sure.
So.
But what if there's a competitive hunting competition and Vior misses the chin?
Well,
he uses his magic short bow. It hits 2 zeros in a row, and he loses because of that.
Well, obviously.
So much RNG.
Wait, no. Well, I'm pretty sure you can't even range the chins, right? Or.
Well, you can. You can, tournament. You just didn't have to last year because there were so many of them.
I see. See, I feel like a skilled hunter would be able to like know when the traps are gonna like fall down, so the chin would never run away.
No, yeah,
Like
obviously, it was just an example of a potential random event that could occur.
Yeah, I suppose. I just feel like there's a lot less RNG involved.
Oh, definitely, but it would not be entertaining for the most players.
Oh, also, Brad, you said earlier you wouldn't like it because of people using AHK. Typically, the skills that they choose don't really require AHK to perfect, so...
Yeah, I suppose. I was just giving an example because like I feel like people would like abuse AHK to try to win $10,000. Like it was just an example.
They could have commentary like, he misses his AHK, he typoed. Is this going to be it for Team VR? It looks like his AHK is not working. Oh, who knows? It'd be
Oh my god,
entertaining, but not
Francis
practical.
AHK wins it all. It's too
Keyboard
OP.
ran out of battery.
Look at that diagonal. Is that a 1 to 2? Anyways, our next question is, would you want the game to stop receiving updates from now on if you had the opportunity to make that change?
I'd like that just because I wouldn't have to stress over future updates devaluing my skills, but at the same time I feel like the game would die at this, so I don't think that'd be a very good idea.
Yeah, it's the same sort of answer as the trade limit question. Like, in a selfish world, then I'd say I wouldn't want updates. But if there wasn't any updates, it would be a game to play after a couple of years. So, yeah, probably want updates, but not major updates.
Yeah, same as the two guys before me. I don't mind small updates. I would prefer it that there was no updates, but yeah, small updates are okay. I'm okay with that.
Dude, this is one of the most passionate topics I feel about, like, on the entire planet. Do you understand? If every record, every high scores rank, everything in the entire game is not devalued. Absolutely beautiful. I mean, imagine like if you saw the agility, or if you saw the mining day records, you knew that no one in the entire game could possibly cheat, and so therefore the mining day records are 100% legit. Like, I mean, I just love how like the game would never be devalued. I actually want the game to die. That sounds really stupid, but if the game died, then therefore the game would not get updated. And I mean, I would just love if everybody was on the same playing field. So many more people would not be macro efficient. People would do slow skills first and come back from behind and do all the slow skills first because they would know that the slow skills would never get updated. I mean, it's so sexy knowing that nobody would hate on other people in the community for doing certain methods. Well, I guess cooking, but like, imagine if you saw someone with 200 mil agility, you knew they did door. I mean, if you saw one 200 mil mining, you knew they did it off granite because, I mean, they could have done it off iron, I guess, but that's not really realistic. Like, nobody would do pure essence to 200 mil mining. Like, mining would not be AFK whatsoever. Like, it would be 100% legit. Everybody would be on a fair. Everybody would have to do the same exact method for 200 mil. Imagine in RuneScape 3, if everybody on the top page of RuneScape 3 had to do the methods that Suomi did. I can 100% guarantee you that Suomi would probably be the only player with 200 mil to date in terms of the XP rates he did. Like, he had to know life so freaking hard. Like, even Drumgun, the master of playing a shit ton, wouldn't even have 200 mil because he tends to AFK a lot and he really disliked the agility skill. And so I really doubt. I mean, it's just such a fair playing field if everyone has to do the same method. It honestly makes me so demotivated to play this game. I'm sorry, Finbar, for making this go on and on. It's just I feel so passionately about this, but like, I don't know. I'm sorry.
I think that they do really well with some of the small updates. Like the achievement diaries were sick. The Slayer bosses are really cool, but I don't think that they should do big updates. Like, I think Zaya's gonna be shit if they put it in. I think sailing's gonna suck if they put it in. I just think the small updates will keep the game alive, because if they don't update it, obviously people are gonna get bored.
Yeah.
Except for Brad.
I feel this game needs updates to survive, and therefore I will encourage this game to continue being updated. Although I dislike the records and such will be devalued over time, I believe it's important for the game to have diversity, and players just have to adapt. I know it encourages the macro-efficient playstyle where you do the faster skills first, because even if fast skills devalued, you lose a small number of hours. But at the same time, we couldn't not have updates for this game. It wouldn't be financially sustainable, and nobody really wants this game to die. All your achievement will go to waste. So I believe updates are necessary for the longevity of the game, and therefore I could never support a proposal where we didn't receive significant content updates, even though said content updates devalue skills inevitably.
So Finbar, hypothetically, if the game didn't die, would you still want the game to be updated?
No, I like changing dynamics and such. I feel like it would get stale, even for high-level players, if we didn't have any content updates whatsoever.
But isn't it good if it's stale, because then the people won't be actually capable of doing tournament all like they.
I understand the ideal you're proposing, but at the same time, I feel like diversity and change is important for a game. It's just I feel RS3 took it too far from the original ideals.
I was just gonna say, I feel like old school is gonna go down the path of RuneScape 3. I mean, like everybody here will deny it, but Slayer has literally increased like 40% since the start of old school. I mean, what is it gonna be in 2 years?
Slayer's increased about 60%, but I don't feel like Slayer can increase much further due to it's essentially hitting its ceiling in terms of combat updates.
Well, I'm just talking about. I mean, it could happen to any skill, but yeah. No, okay. Fine.
No, I respect other people's opinion. I just feel like updates are necessary, and therefore I support updates. Anyways, our next question is, how do you feel about outfits that provide a 2.5% bonus experience for a given skill? For those of you who don't know, there are several of these outfits in game. One example is the Lumberjack outfit that can be obtained from temple checking. It gives you 2.5% woodcut bonus XP. Another is the Prospector set that can be obtained from the Motherlode Mine. It gives you 2.5% bonus mining XP. Do you guys feel these are good for the game, bad for the game, or what?
I do think they're actually kind of good because, well, they bring like a purpose to do some of these mini games that really, well, I guess in the case of Motherlode Mine, people actually do it, but temple trekking, I don't think anybody actually does any temple trekking other than to get Lumberjack or maybe Iron Man. I think you get seeds from there, or Completionist, you might have to do something there. Also, I think, or they plan on bringing the fishing outfit with fishing trawler. That will also increase activity of fishing trawler, which will actually be pretty cool. And so, plus the 2.5% isn't really that big of a deal. I mean, it does save like 50 hours for some of these skills, and the idea of getting 200 mil in them, but that's not that much. That's maybe a week or two. But in a negative viewpoint, it can lead to people wanting other bonus XPs, which I really would not like that.
The way that it's being introduced is bad in my opinion. Putting more mini games is like a good way of reviving the mini game for about a week, and then it becomes dead again because everyone's got the outfit. So if they're going to revive mini games, they should do it in another way. Also, the fact that the fishing outfit is going to be RNG is kind of bullshit. The one that the lumberjack is kind of bullshit as well because that's RNG. So it could take one person 50 hours or one person 40 minutes. I get the calm the other day. So it's kind of random. I don't like that. I feel like it should take a long time to get. So it's like you're not sure whether you should get it or not.
For reference, it took calm 40 minutes. It took tails nearly 12 hours for lumberjack.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's just, I don't know. They should introduce it in a different way. But 2.5% isn't that much, like, especially once you include that it can take you up to 10 hours to get Lumberjack. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I dislike any type of form skills is getting devalued, but I guess 2.5% isn't too drastic, so at least it isn't higher than that. I guess I'm okay with it.
I'm gonna keep this one short and sweet. I wouldn't really want it, just because it devalues day records, not as much week and month records. And if you put it in like a mini game, it just might make it more like mentally easy to achieve a 200 mil, and so I'm not really for that.
They make such a minimal difference either way. I don't think that it really matters whether they're in the game or not. I guess it's good because it does get people to play the mini game.
I don't really have a problem with them because the bonuses provided are relatively small. However, I feel like adding them to minigames without adding other rewards such as consumables is flawed because people are just going to play the minigame and then they're going to get the outfit and they're never going to go back to the minigame. Whereas if you want to make a minigame active again, you need to give people a reason to keep going back to it. So
Exactly.
I don't mind the outfits, but I feel like the way they are introducing them is flawed. Motherload was good because it was obtained by a training method, so people kept having reasons to do Motherload. But temple trekking, like once you get lumberjack, you're never going to go back there. Same with trawler. Once you get the fishing outfit, who on earth is going to bother with that again?
Are you suggesting that like they degrade and you have to go back to get this out again, or what?
No, I suggest that they
No.
add other rewards in addition to the outfits, like consumables, other items that make it worth continuing to play.
I just want to add really quick. I feel like if they do end up adding 2.5% bonus outfits to RS, I feel like it's an extra incentive for Jags to one day add bonus experience to the game.
I see. So, what do you think is the worst skill to train at low levels?
I'm gonna have to use use the same argument I used for not doing Crimson Swifts over air runes for 200 mil, either crafting or not crafting, rune crafting or hunter. I really dislike doing Crimson Swifts at lower level hunter. Yeah, and I think I said it before. I don't know why. There's no specific reason, but the animation for failing the Crimson Swift just really annoyed me.
I would say hunter, but there's that little mini like museum thing.
The Rock
Which you can
Museum
do.
gets you level 1 to 9.
Yeah, it gets you level 9, so it's not as bad. Probably is farming kind of bad? Actually, I guess you can quest it, so it's not too bad. Yeah, probably runecrafting then, I guess. But I guess once you unlock fire runes, it's not bad either. I don't know. None of the skills are too bad low level. Fire making actually, because you can. I hate like not lighting the log in the same number of ticks, and it's kind of a bit annoying. Probably fire making.
I'll go with hunter.
Annoying at first, I definitely probably have to go with I'd probably say thieving, definitely for sure, just because of the amount of times you fail. Like it gets honestly really annoying after a while, having to like just I don't know, it's just annoying having to see the message of core blimey, why are you in my pockets, or whatever the heck he says, the master farmer. And yeah, so I'd probably definitely say thieving.
Yeah, I think the hunter, because it's really shitty when you have to sit there at the birds with one trap or two traps, and then you wait like over a minute and then it trips it and you don't even get the bird. Like, it's the worst.
I'm gonna say thieving. I honestly think low-level thieving is one of the most annoying things in the entire game, and it's probably part of the reason why we have so few people with 99 thieving, even though it's a really fast skill, because they just can't get past level 53 or whatever. They stop at the low level because they assume thieving's annoying all the way to 99, when it actually gets a lot better once you get to, say, 50 to 60. But getting 1 to 50 thieving is so bad with the fail rates, and there's not a lot you can do about it.
I also think combat is also extremely boring in the beginning, because you hit so many zeros. Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
You can quest your combat up quite high though.
That's definitely true. I didn't really think of that.
So, do you think that multiskilling devalues certain skills? The example given is, do you think Magic Imbue devalues Magic XP because you can gain Magic XP passively while training other skills?
Definitely. I mean, for the case of Magic, not too much. Well, assuming that rune items and Addy plates became viable, then I guess, because you'd be forced to either barrage smoke devils or burst monkeys or something, I'm not sure. But for examples like fletching, you pretty much save 1,000 hours versus making magic longbows or whatever, unless you were assuming that darts are still a method. I don't know.
For some skills, I think it decreases value, but for others, I think it increases the value. Because to me, doing however many slow skills you need to do to achieve 200 more magic from Imbue means that you put that many hours in order to, at like 20k magic an hour. So it's like essentially it's like a 10k hour 200 mil if you look at it that way. Although it's 0 time, you've had to play 10k hours to achieve it. Fletching obviously just takes away a huge amount of time. I don't know, and I guess strength and agility from fishing is not really multi-skilling, but that kind of devalues the skills as well because it's like an extra 300 hours or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess you can say it's devaluing, but I like it, to be honest, as long as you pay effort to do to get the multiskilling XP. I'm absolutely fine with it.
Well, I've been very passionate about this for like many years. Ever since I pretty much did terminal agility, or well, actually the release of Silver Hawks honestly are the main thing, and runespan. But you know what? Like I did like 3.3k hours of agility on RS3. I said this before on the podcast, but I did 3.3k hours of agility on RS3, and it essentially became 0 hours, making it more mentally easy to achieve, obviously. And so any decrease in hours, in my opinion, is a huge negative thing. Like even like losing 1,000 hours of fletching. I mean, somebody might end up quitting tournament all because they have to do fletching in a bank because it's 1,000 extra hours that they have to do. And so I very strongly disagree with any method becoming 0 hours. I mean, it just you guys don't really understand my perspective just because you haven't ever been like. I mean, there's no one here in the entire chat or probably watching this video that knows how I feel just because no one's really done tournament agility. But yeah, it's so annoying when you went through so much mental difficulty to be able to achieve a 200 mil. Whether even if it's cooking, like even if you're getting your first 200 mil ever, you still require some mental challenge to be able to stick to a skill for a long period of time. So if you make it 0 hours, then it's I don't know, it just 100% devalues that skill. So, yeah.
Was that really, Brad? I think you didn't really answer the question though. You kind of just talked about how you would hate if agility XP was.
What was the? Oh, sorry. What was the question again? Then what was the question again?
No, you kind of did answer it.
I don't know.
What was it? What was it again?
The question was about multi-skilling specifically.
Oh, well, okay. Well,
multi-skilling.
it's okay. I'm sorry. I don't know why. I just went off on a random tangent, I guess. But yeah, no, I really dislike multi-skilling just because. Okay, I like multi-skilling if you aren't going for tuner mall, but if you're going for tuner mall, then I dislike it. Because it takes away a lot of the hour. Like for example, getting agility XP from fishing, you aren't actually training the fishing skill. So yeah. I mean the agility skill. I'm freaking stupid.
I think that imbue is pretty cool because it, like Bond said, it's just like it'll show how much time you played. It's kind of like farming, I guess, in a way, because when you have high farming XP, you know that you've spent a lot of, I guess, days played because you have a ton of farming XP from your daily. And imbue isn't a daily, but having high magic XP would imply that you've played a lot, I guess, if you did imbue. I don't know. I like it. I think it's cool. Multi-skilling.
I've got mixed feelings about it, again, ambivalent. I like that because you've got an option to make your skilling more challenging, I suppose, in return for passive XP. Like imbue for agility, imbue for thieving, imbue for woodcutting, imbue for fishing, imbue for everything basically. Although that makes magic passive in 0 time, it means you've got to put a little bit more effort for every other skill, which I think somewhat balances out the challenge. But at the same time, I don't like that some skills other than combat are completely 0 time due to it. So I haven't done a lot of multi-skilling myself, so I'm kind of indifferent on it, I suppose.
People don't really regard like time as effort, but I mean, like it just makes you you're so much more tempted to quit if you have to spend more hours on something, and so therefore I think making something require more time is, or most of the time, more impressive than making it slightly more click intensive like imbue does. I mean, I would have a lot, it sounds weird, but I would have a lot more respect if people did alching just because you have to do like 2 more clicks than imbue, because imbue just lets you continue that animation.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's not even that much more click intensive to do these multi-skilling methods that we have. I guess the bolts or darts is a little bit, but since it's so fast and you have so much time to do it, you don't really have to do it at a very click intensive rate.
Yeah. Moving on though. Oh, sorry, go on,
if-
Sten.
I think it makes like multiskilling, even though I completely agree that the skills, it's a bit sad if new multiskilling method comes out, if it devalues method, but I think the current multiskilling methods are interesting because you have more varieties in terms of how click intensive you want to do a skill, and I certainly like that.
I mean, I just want to say something real quick. See, if you do Addy Dart or Addy Darts at terminal fletching, it's literally like I've heard from Parm, it's only like 100 hours worth of multi-skilling. I mean, I don't know. I just think like doing Magic Longbows at terminal, spending 1,000 hours rather than doing Addy Darts for like less than 100 hours is a lot more impressive.
Well, Addy Darts 100 hours would not be multi-skilling. That'd be bank standing it.
Oh, it would.
Yeah.
How much would, like, if you were to do Addy Darts while doing like Slayer or something, like how many hours would that be?
1,000 hours, probably.
Really? Oh, shit.
Well, not Addies. Probably if you do myths and steals, it's like 1,000 hours.
Yeah. Alright, so our next question is, what do you think about the 2k total worlds, and would you like to see 2.1k or max total worlds in the future? Or any other kind of total world?
I don't really think we need any other total worlds. It's not necessary at all. Also, I don't have too much of an opinion on the 2k worlds, 1750 worlds, or whatever. It doesn't give too much of an advantage other than evading bots. There's still PKers and black chins, and you'll probably get, and there's a lot of PKers RCing as well, so yeah.
Well, for one, it's an American world, so I can't even use it. Two, it's basically just a world of like PVM is standing at the GE arguing about like which boots they should take to Armadillo. It's not even a world full of skillers, so I don't know. It's kind of dumb.
I like the skilling worlds in general, but well, I can't really have opinion about the 2k total world because I can't even get into it. Rest in peace. So yeah, I have to say I really enjoy doing Hunter on skilling worlds because it's absolutely a lot less pickers. And about if I would like to see max total worlds in the future, maybe it have to at least be many years from now. When I don't know, when 500 people are maxed, then that's going to be some years until that happens. So yeah, I don't know.
Personally, I'm actually kind of like, well, I mean, I guess this is kind of biased because I don't even have 1k total level myself. But I actually don't like total level worlds. Actually, I don't really like total level worlds above like 2,000 because I feel like it makes like the high level community like more elitist and stuff like that. Like they're only gonna stick in world 61 now because they don't want to have to they don't want to talk to any people in game. Like I don't know, that was such a bad reasoning honestly. But I don't know. I guess they don't really negatively or positively affect the game. I don't know. I don't really have an opinion honestly.
I'm the opposite of you, Brad. I like the 2K worlds because I don't like talking to plebs.
I've really only used them for Slayer, and I'm not really that good for Slayer because everybody uses them for Slayer. I actually like talking to the noobs because I like helping them out and such, and oftentimes I get asked questions that I can answer very easily. Like some noob will ask me what's the best way to train Hunter or something else like that. I can make more of a difference to noobs, whereas in a 2K world, everyone kind of knows what they're doing already. I don't think they're a bad thing, but at the same time, I don't think we need a 2.1k or max total world. 2k is plenty high enough. And we shouldn't be trying to make the max, the high-level skilling community even more elitist and exclusive than it already is.
I mean, personally, I just noticed this the other day. Actually, I don't think they need to add any more than 2k or whatever the max total level is world right now. Because if you look at the list of worlds, 61 I think it is has 150 people on.
Yeah, it's got
and,
a lot less than the others.
Imagine if they introduced a max total level world, for example. There would probably be 10 people on it. Well, maybe it depends a little bit. Maybe 20 people on at once. And I feel like it would just make it so OP for resource. I don't even know.
Yeah. So Our next question is actually rather specific, and to Sten specifically. For those of you who don't know, there's a thread on Tippet, which is Sten regularly updates. It's about 200 mil all skills, and people on that thread talk about top players in EHP or total XP, and they try to look at how people are progressing towards 200 mils. Do you guys here follow it, and what are your thoughts on threads like that?
I do follow it, and I actually enjoy reading what Sten has to write about other people, and it also lets me know what other people are doing, I guess you could say. It's kind of cool to have someone outside of the elite top or high skilling community giving their input and whatnot. I really enjoy reading what they have to say.
I do follow the thread, and I appreciate that Sten puts in the effort every week to update us on what's going on. Find it interesting, and yeah, it's a good thread overall, so you should check it out if you haven't already.
Well, I feel kind of awkward to answer this question when I'm writing this updates myself. Well, I have to say, it's nice to know that some people enjoy reading them. So I think I'll continue to read them as long as I have motivation to write them.
The issue that I have with the thread is that like everybody that's like on Sten's top 15 update list is in the actual like Torunament skill thread thingy. Like on RuneScape 3, you have like hundreds of people that like aren't even involved in like the community really talking about it. Like I feel like it's just kind of dumb when everybody that like knows each other is talking about it. Like I don't know, it's just weird to me. I guess like because the community in old school is a lot smaller and stuff like that. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's a cool thing to see like what all the people did, and you can easily look it up on CML or whatever. But yeah, I guess it's kind of cool to like see Sten's commentary on what all the players are doing, and like sometimes it can be funny. Like I don't know, but yeah, that's my opinion.
I actually haven't read the thread, but it sounds pretty interesting. I'd like to look at it.
I only learned about the threads relatively recently, personally, and I was quite intrigued. Obviously, I had been updated for quite a long time before I realised the thread even existed. I think it's very interesting, and I like that Sten puts in the time to give us updates on what the top 15 EHP are currently training. I mean, you can check on CML, but I prefer to read it because he adds input and explanations generally for like what that player is doing. I feel it's informative, and I hope that we continue to see updates indefinitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think in the future, like having this information about what methods people did to touch them all and stuff, like way in the future, looking back on it would be really valuable. So it's good that it's documented.
Oh, for sure. It'll be very interesting to like in like 4 years or something to see what people's mentalities are now compared to in 4 years. Because if you look at the RS3 Torunament skill thread, people didn't even think anyone can get Torunament, and now there's 20 plus people with it.
Yeah, that's to the male all skills threat on R3 is pretty legendary. I feel like you can pretty much like sum up the skilling community, like with a historic view. Like
there's thousands of pages on that thing. Like, it would take you like days to read it. It's pretty insane.
I think one time I have nothing to do, I think I'll try to read through the whole thread on R3.
Yeah.
Speaking of 200 mils, our next question is, assuming your goal is 200 mil all, and you know everything about old school and its development up to this point, what would your plan be from day one?
This is assuming like you could see into the future and you see what the updates are, right?
It's basically assuming you know all the updates from February 2013 until now.
Yeah, we discussed this the other day, and I would stick to what we discussed, pretty much doing agility at Dorg and RCing on anout, and investing into Dragon Bones and Wretched Champas, I think were also cheap at one point. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, so is this starting from now, or is it starting from when the game came out?
From day one when the game came out.
Oh god, that's hard. Yeah, you got to focus on investing, I feel like, and maybe a skill like woodcutting first, but just because woodcutting hasn't had many updates. Then moving on to fast skills, where I gained money through flipping, which isn't. When did alts become legal, Finn?
Having one alt, having an alt in the same game and multi-logging on it became officially within the rules in September 2013, I think.
Okay, so as soon as alts became legal, I'd get an alt and do slow skills while doing the alt, like wood cutting. And then as soon as I had money for fast skills, I would do all the fast skills because they're not going to get devalued as much as stuff like that. But then I still wouldn't do agility like Harm said because there's still potential now for it to get devalued in the future. So, I don't know.
I think I would have tried to do a skill like Herbler because those who were like doing smithing and Herbler and was like rank 1 in those skills were pretty much the richest players in the game earlier on. And after that, I guess pretty much what everyone else has been saying.
The question asks what would I do differently, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Honestly, I probably wouldn't do anything differently. I feel like that's such an unfair advantage knowing, like how everything has changed. Like I guess one thing I would do 200 mil agility purely off Dorg, and knowing people's mentalities today, I would get a lot less hate for doing the majority off it at RE. So yeah.
I think that the only thing I would do is with investments. Like I wouldn't play the game differently. I don't like having to force myself to play in a certain way. But investments would be tight to have that much money. Like you could be so rich.
I'd take the approach where I started with agility and I made an alt at the same time, and then I would make money on the alt and then invest for everything. Because if you knew every update that was coming, you could make tens of billions of GP really easily. You could merch Dragon Bones, Chinchompas, Zamok Spears, Dragon Fire Shields, Third Age, just everything. You'd make so much money knowing how the economy was going to develop. You wouldn't even need to altscape for very long, I don't think, once you've got the initial money to make a lot off a single merch, and then you just keep making money with that.
Denver, I'm just wondering, how come you chose to do agility? Because in the beginning of old school, agility wasn't nearly as AFK as it is now.
Yeah, but I still feel like you could do Dorg with an alt more easily than you could do, say, free tick fishing or free tick woodcutting with an alt.
Free tick fishing was an alt at the start.
They weren't possible? Why couldn't you use the snake method?
You could snake, I'm talking about fishing. Fishing was
There was no way to free tick fishing.
Unless you invest in
Well,
investments.
Yeah.
I suppose. Yeah, as Wilson said, not even tens, you could have hundreds of billions of GP. So, very easy to deal with your variables and such. And agility didn't get changed a whole lot in XP per hour from the start of old school until now. It's just it got easier with rooftops. I think that's a good skill to do first. But don't do it to 200 mil, of course, just do it to like 150 or 160.
I took this question as like, what would you think the most efficient route would be? Not what you'd actually do. So if it was actually what I'd be doing, I wouldn't play any differently. So yeah.
Yeah. I look at it as more as like the most efficient route as well. Not necessarily what I would personally do.
I think a counterclaim was that alts were not legal at the beginning, so you
That's
couldn't
true.
use alts. But I think a rebuttal to that is that we would be knowing that alts would eventually become legal, so I'd make one anyways, not transfer until it is legal.
Yeah.
Well, it's not like you would actually get banned for it. No one ever really did, so.
Still don't want to break
Exactly.
Okay.
So, yeah, there's a lot of different strategies that could be considered. Our next question is really more of a definition. How do you define high-level skilling community? What do you consider to be the high-level skilling community in old school RuneScape?
I'm not sure. I'm just gonna say you have to have knowledge of what's like the meta of the game, I guess, and you have to have some experience as well, and you have to actually like be involved with the community. You can't just be doing your own thing.
Yeah, I was going to say you have to make a conscious effort to get involved with the community when it comes to skilling. You can be high level, but not be in the high level community, obviously. If you don't interact with anyone, you don't get involved in community discussions, etc. Like being on Twitter, being in a high level clan. If you're not in any of these things, you're probably not in the high level community, even if you are a high level. So you have to make a conscious effort, I think, to be in it.
Yeah, my definition of the high-level skill community will pretty much be the players who are in the 3 clans, Hexes, Solace, and Slay Stars. There are some exceptions though, like people who are fairly active on Twitter and such, and like interacts with the community and like knows what's going on, even though they're not in a clan.
Don't
Yeah.
forget Requiem.
Yeah, Requiem, of course.
Shout out. I honestly don't have a differentiating opinion. I'm honestly gonna say the same thing as Dobbs. Like, you have to be involved in the high-level community, and in the 3 major
You
clans.
call me Dorbs, or fuck?
I'm not
Did I just call you Dobbs? Well, whatever, same thing. But yeah, I would say you have to be involved in the 4 main high-level skilling clans. Would you consider Link's Titan in the high-level community? He is a high level,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
he's rank 1 overall in terms of EHP and total XP.
He's not involved in any clans, but he does follow a lot of high-level skilling, metagame discussion, and he watches the Hexes and Solace podcast, for example. So
We had a video this week, so there you go.
yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
he's still in the high-level skilling community. He doesn't really engage as much as most people.
Yeah, but barely though.
Yeah.
It's very barely.
I don't know. I feel like everything has been said. Just the people that
Yeah.
interact with members of the high-level community and participate.
I agree with everyone else. You can be a high level and not be in the high level skilling community. Like, if you're not in a major skilling clan, you're not active on social media or other high level skilling clans or other high level members of the community, you're not really in the high level skilling community, you're just a high level. And it's possible to be in the high level skilling community without necessarily being a very high level yourself. And of course, it's possible to be a high level without being in the high level skilling community, because some players just prefer to do things on their own. So, yeah, it's obviously subjective in how you define it. Oh, our next question is an interesting one. We've been asked, which girls have been in the top page in the history of Old School, and why does everyone here think there are so few girls in the high-level skilling community?
I know Evil Oak and Madeline have been pretty much the only 2 females on the top page, as far as I know. And
Yeah.
for why isn't there many, I have no idea. Females have the same potential as we do, so I don't know.
Oh, I think it's more socially acceptable for guys to stay inside and play video games all day than girls. Like, they have a lot more social pressure to go outside and like hang with friends and stuff, I feel like. And also, if you're a girl in the community, you often get like slut shamed and stuff like that just because of the actions of other girls in the community. There's instant, like, a bad prejudice is set against you from the get-go, really. That's probably the reason, but I don't really have much like information on it, so I don't know.
Well, firstly, it's obviously a lot more boys who's playing RuneScape. Another reason I think there's a few girls in high-level skill community is because I think boys are more competitive in general, and yeah, that's pretty much it, to be honest.
Yeah, honestly, Sten took the words out of my mouth. Guys are like freaking 5 times more competitive than females tend to be, and I feel like it's, as Bond said, guys are a lot more socially acceptable to be able to play video games in general than girls are. Although you do see a lot more girls in terms of like the social aspect of RuneScape, especially on RuneScape 3, like with e-dating and stuff like that. Like, you don't even see any e-dating on Old School happening. So yeah.
I mean, obviously, there's less girls that play. That's probably the biggest reason. Less girls play, so there's less girls that would be in the high-level community. Or just high-level in general.
I agree. Of all the men who play RuneScape, only a small percentage of them are high-level skillers. And then of all the people who play RuneScape, there's only a small percentage of girls. So it's a small percentage of a small percentage who are high-level skillers. And as Brett said, I feel like they're less competitive in general, and social norms generally make it more acceptable for men to play long hours as opposed to females. We have got no females on the top page now, and we're not likely to see any for some time because top female players are currently, well, the two top female players are both currently kind of inactive.
It's also worth noting that there's no top page females on RuneScape 3 either, and there haven't been many in the history of RuneScape.
But Brad, you made me very curious. Do you have any experience with either thing on RuneScape?
Next question.
No, it's just competitive, and
You
it's
should-
just small numbers of anyways.
You should ask Finbar that, Sten, not me. I don't even talk to females, they're too scary.
I think we can all agree Vio is the highest ranked female player.
No, Link's Titan.
No,
Link's
Titan.
Link's Titan.
Yeah, Link's Titan. But women are just as capable as playing efficiently as men. It's just fewer choose to.
Like, did you guys know that Link's Titan is a female and she also has 10 trill worth of donations?
2 trill, mate.
Oh, it's 2 trill, I'm sorry. Same thing, but yeah.
Don't exaggerate, mate. Come on.
Laurent Wilson. It's 24 people with 5.2 and little guys. Highest female players like 4.4 bill, I think.
And it's Lady M. Your
Yeah,
character.
Lady M.
And then Greeno98 is also up there as well.
Yeah, maybe we'll see this change in future, but it is how it is right now in the high-level skilling community. So high-level skills are quite judgmental towards each other, and they maybe that's not the kind of environment most women want to be in. Maybe. Wilson Leamy is a guy. I can confirm that for sure. But moving on, our next question is: do you consider free time to be the biggest unfair advantage in old school RuneScape?
Got the poor Yakori here. I don't think it's an unfair advantage unless you want it to be. You really don't need to compare yourself to people who are playing 18 hours a day. You should try to compare yourself to people that are playing more around the same amount of time as you are. So I'd probably compare myself to Razor when I go back to school versus Link's Titan, obviously.
I'm gonna go with no because often I feel like it'd be easier to stay consistent if you have other IRL obligations. Like for instance, if you're at school, you don't have to be playing RuneScape all day. You can come home from school. You've been thinking about RuneScape all day. It's gonna be hyped when you get on. You'll be more efficient, and you're less likely to burn out because you've got other stuff going on in your life. So you won't just get too bored of RuneScape. So I feel like you can be consistent for longer periods of time than if you're just playing RuneScape. I feel like it'd be harder to play RuneScape like 16 hours a day than to work, like go to school 8 and play RuneScape 8. So, but then again, if you can stay consistent and play for the whole time, you are like have free time, then obviously you have a huge advantage in terms of reaching goals faster than others. But it's seeming no burnouts, obviously, but yeah.
As weird as it sounds, I don't really care how many hours I play. I only care about like how efficient I play in those hours. So I don't really think so much about like free time is overpowered in those terms. But I guess you can say it's the biggest unfair advantage. But I choose to not think so much about it.
I actually made a video on this topic, and it really got to my head, and it really annoyed me. But the idea of free time being the biggest unfair advantage is true and false. True being, like, here's just an example. The only reason I am rank 1 agility is because I had unlimited free time when I was racing speed to 200 mil. So in terms of a competitive scene, the free time is the biggest unfair advantage. However, I was talking to one of my friends, Matt, and he said he came up with the counter argument, oh, you're just prioritizing things different or wrongly. Like, you could still like let's just say you were in school and you were trying to beat drum gun to 200 wall, for example. You could just drop out of school, even though it might be unrealistic for your future. You could drop out of school and try to beat drum gun to 200 wall.
What if you can't drop out of school? Like it's compulsory.
I mean, I don't remember the exact argument he made, but I mean, you could probably like. What do you mean you can't though?
Say like you're 16, and in the UK you have to go to school if you're 16. Like it's against the law not to. Then you can't just drop out of school to play RuneScape.
Yeah, I mean that is a very interesting argument. But see, the question asks: is free time or the biggest unfair advantage? And you're basically comparing free time to Squeal of Fortune, or microtransactions rather. And so it's like someone getting 200 mil all with unlimited free time versus someone who gets 2.6 bill with or being able to buy it. And so I don't know. I honestly don't know. Like I would honestly say that buying, like, if you were to like hypothetically buy a shit ton of XP, even though it's not really realistic considering how much GP it requires, then I would definitely say that it isn't the most unfair advantage. However, I mean, I also don't want to say it's the biggest unfair advantage just because of how much mental effort it requires to be able to play more than like 16 hours a day, and so so few people are capable of doing that, and so I don't really view it as that big. In terms of getting ranks, then yes, it is. Sorry, but yeah.
I only think it's OP in like the top 10 or something because those people all play really well, and the time is the most important thing for them.
You can look at this in a number of ways. I could argue that free time is the greatest unfair advantage because a player who can play, let's say you can play 12 hours a day. Let's be more realistic. Let's say you've only got university, you go 20 hours a week, and you don't have to do a part-time job or anything. You also don't have a social life. Therefore, you can play RuneScape for say 80 to 85 hours a week. Okay, let's compare that with somebody who works a full-time job, has a family, and can only play RuneScape for 30 hours a week. Having the extra 50 hours a week is massive in terms of what you can accomplish in the game. Objectively, there's going to be a bigger advantage realistically than almost anything else, including microtransactions, because it is unrealistic to buy your way to 200 all, whereas having all that free time would speed things up significantly. On the other hand, you can argue that playing over a certain number of hours every single day is very difficult due to the challenge and, I guess, the tedium involved. So you could say that while it's an unfair advantage, maybe not everyone exploits it to its full extent. Like, there are plenty of players who play old school maybe 10, 12 hours a day, but they're not top 10 overall or top 5 overall because they choose not to play efficiently, or they just can't play efficiently for all that time. Or even players who have an unlimited amount of free time, but they choose not to play RuneScape the entire time that they have free time because they don't feel able to play RuneScape every day for say 16 hours a day. I don't really know. I'm going to say it is the most powerful advantage in theory, but in reality it's probably not, because very few players use unlimited free time entirely to their advantage. Even looking at the top 10, most of the players in the top 10 do not have unlimited free time. Lynx Tyson appears to. Hey Jace, Randy, Vestful don't. I don't. Vior doesn't. I don't think Oscar and Razor do either. So I'm not sure about Nerd, but most of us have to balance real life responsibilities with RuneScape anyways. So players with more free time, a player with a lot of free time could catch up, but it's very unlikely that there's going to be someone with unlimited free time who's actually going to play efficiently for that time and catch up to existing players.
Yeah, like it just often haunts me how I don't really deserve first to 200 mil agility just because I had a limited free time and Speed didn't. So do I really deserve it? Up for debate.
Nerd just said he has college, so Lynx Titan is the only person in the top 10 who... Signed doesn't really count though. He doesn't
He's still
play.
in there when he was playing.
I suppose he's still in there, and does he? I didn't know he still had unlimited free time. I thought he might have started doing something, but then it's Lynx Titan Signed. That's only 2 out of 10. So most of us balance real life with RuneScape, and that's been the case for many efficient players in old school and OSV. But the unlimited playtime players often don't fully realize the potential, I guess.
I mean, honestly, there are so very few people who use their free time to the fullest extent. I mean, like honestly, Lynx, Titan, Drumgun, and Sui are probably the only people to ever really use 100% of their free time. Well, like the only people that had unlimited free time and used it to its full potential.
Yeah. We may yet see a new challenger for the top 10, though, a player with unlimited free time who chooses to play efficiently for all that time. Just currently, that doesn't appear to be such a player. It's all perspective, I suppose. Moving on, though, our next question is, in your opinion, what makes someone a good player and what makes them a bad player? What do you value when you assess other players?
I don't want to go ahead and call people bad players. I think everyone is good to their own stand, right? Yeah.
Well, you could look at it as what makes one player better than another, then.
Yes, that's what I was getting to. When I look to like the better players, I feel like they understand what their capabilities are. They know they have like a strict idea of what their goals are. Not too strict, but like to the point where they know what they're doing, and they have a general good understanding of the game and the meta, and yeah.
I value and respect players that can set goals and then go ahead and achieve the goals. I don't so much respect players that set a lot of unrealistic goals and never finish them. Staying consistent is important, and I also value players that put a lot of effort in when they play rather than just like AFKing or whatever. But every player is just as good as the next one, guys. You're all great.
Yeah, it's. Well, I guess I could say that I get impressed when some people are very micro efficient, and I guess I get impressed by people who are good at flipping, because I think that's a skill which is difficult to master. And yeah, I guess that's pretty much it.
For what actually, I'm going to say what I don't value and then what I value. I don't value people who use alts. I don't value people who do 6-hour methods. I don't value people, well, except in extreme cases, people who take donations. I don't value people who buy spins, abuse bugs to an extreme extent, and yeah, for things that I value. Well, the number one thing that I probably value is time played with consistency. Obviously, being able to play like 18 plus hours a day for 7 years, like Drumgun did, is undeniably like the best achievement ever in RuneScape, in my opinion. Other things I would value is being able to do click-intensive methods. Obviously, that's very impressive because not everyone's able to do that. Also, another huge thing for me is being able to stick to one skill for long periods of time. If you look at RuneScape 3, almost every single player who's gotten to Intermal, except Suomi and Drumgun, skill hopped like a mother. And so it's just a lot more mentally challenging to be able to stick to one skill, and that's why I value it so highly. Let's see. I guess doing slow skills first, even though it's kind of like it doesn't really matter in the end, I guess, but doing slow skills first shows that you are willing to spend more time at the cost of being inefficient to be to, like, I guess, mentally prepare yourself for tuner wall. Well, 99% of people have the macro efficient mindset and they just do the fastest skills first and assume the slow skills will get updated. I really dislike that idea, just because it shows that you're playing for the overall picture. You're not playing for the individual skill, and you could care less if a skill gets devalued. And I guess another thing is I really care for someone who cares about the integrity, someone that isn't willing to, I guess, do things that everybody around them isn't doing, such as like Vestfold. He's probably one of my favorite players all time, just because he doesn't use alts, he doesn't do 6-hour methods to compete with everyone around him, and yet he's still the number one player in terms of efficient hours played without Guthans. And so, yeah, that's what I value.
This question is pretty hard because it's hard to say if a player is objectively good because different players value different things. But I would say that a good player would be well-rounded. Like, they can play efficiently, and they would have, like, it's hard to say because you have to split their play style or what you value in their playstyle, and I say that they would have to have good morals too. Morals are pretty important in my opinion, but that again doesn't really have anything to do with whether a player is good or not.
What's really important for me that I probably value more than many other players is I respect players who are able to achieve their RuneScape goals efficiently while also balancing real life responsibilities. Even although I prefer if they can do it while still being morally acceptable, I guess. Like players like Zarfot and dvelopment, for example, pre-EOC, they were able to achieve high overall ranks while not playing a huge number of hours a day. And that's just because they were efficient and intelligent players. I very much respect players who are able to play that way, and they didn't have to resort to any kind of cheating or just oldscape or anything to achieve their goals, and I like that people can do that. I also respect players who set goals and then they succeed. I think that players who set lots of goals that are unrealistic for themselves, for example, let's say a player who sets goals for 200 mil when they're not even 99, or they set goals for multiple 200 mils at once, or even 200 mil when they're not really that far into it. I dislike that because I feel like they're trying to hype themselves up for something, but they end up being predisposed to fail it because they just set unrealistic goals. Morals are important to me too, though. A player who doesn't use alts or 6-hour methods is more respectable in my eyes because they are not resorting to methods that are of questionable integrity to succeed in their goals. As Brad said, Vestfal's an example of a high-level player who doesn't use alts or guthans. So am I, and we both feel that we don't have to, and we'd rather not just because integrity is important to us. So for me, it's integrity, balancing real-life responsibilities, and overall consistency.
So, Finbar, I'm curious, do you find a player with unlimited free time, so you would find someone who works and plays RS to be more impressive than someone that just has unlimited free time?
Yeah, actually, because I feel it's more difficult to achieve your goals that way because everything just takes so much longer.
Interesting.
Like,
I mean,
well, let's say in old school, for example, Tails, he works a full-time job, and that makes his goals take longer, but he was still able to place, he still tried very hard to place 70 plus EHP every week on the road to max, and his consistency was admirable at the time. I like players who can do that. I just feel like if you can succeed at both RuneScape and real life, that's what you should be aspiring to.
for me, I guess this is just a personal thing. Like, when I was in high school, I literally thought of RuneScape like the entire time, and even when I'm at work these days, I just think of RuneScape, and it just like motivates me to when I get home to really be motivated and hyped to play. I feel like when RuneScape is literally the only thing you have going on in your life, you often get depressed because you really don't have anything else going on, and so I think it's in my opinion, a lot more mentally challenging to stay motivated while you have unlimited free time because you could be doing so many other things in your life besides playing RuneScape, and yet you choose RuneScape.
I'd say, but if you don't have unlimited free time, you've got to recognize the reality that your goals are going to take longer to achieve than someone who has unlimited free time. For example, maybe I can only play, when I've got classes and such, I can only play 60 to 70 EHP a week, whereas I know that if I didn't have classes, I'd be able to play quite a lot more than that. And at times that can be a little frustrating, knowing that I could be doing more, but obviously because I want to succeed in real life too, I have to accept that I won't be able to achieve my goals as quick as I'd like.
Do you not think it'd be easier for you to achieve 200 mil over an 8-year period
versus a 4-year period?
4-year period, and taking 4 years out of your life that you basically just lost the RuneScape.
I suppose, but it depends on perspective. It's unrealistic for a player to just take 4 years out of their life, and it's very rare. There's generally some kind of accentuating circumstance that it's not like they're a perfectly capable person who just decides, I'm going to play RuneScape for 4 years and do nothing else. Generally, there's a reason why they do that. Maybe because they don't feel they can achieve anything in real life, so they decide to play RuneScape, or they've got a disability, or they've got some other condition that prevents them from doing what they'd want to in real life, rather. I don't know.
So, Finbar, so if I guess you might respect someone who for example, would you respect someone like Drumgun more than someone who has a job and plays RuneScape?
I respect Drumgun more, but that's because Drumgun was an exceptional case. He played RuneScape so consistently, and that I value as well. As I said, consistency is important to me. I don't like burnouts. I feel players who are able to keep playing RuneScape for continuously, even if not for a great number of hours a day, are respectable in my eyes.
You think it's you say you don't like burnouts, but you think it's easier not to burn out if you've got other stuff going on? Though?
I agree. It's easier not to burn out if you've got other stuff going on because it gives you a distraction, I suppose. Like, for example, if I've got classes, I'm not really going to be bored of RuneScape because I'm going to try and play as much RuneScape as I can in my free time. And it's kind of like that constant game to get as much free time as you can by doing your real life stuff efficiently and such. So
Okay.
I feel like you're less likely to burn out if you've got an active real life.
Okay, final question really quick. I asked you this before in TS one time, and it might spark conversation.
Yeah.
Do you respect someone who burns out but keeps their morals, or someone who is consistent but drops their morals?
The former. I value morals highly as well.
I see.
I dislike hypocrites as much as more than I dislike burnouts. So
I was just wondering because you value consistency so high.
I do
so I thought
value
it might balance
consistency,
it out.
but value morals too.
Yeah.
It's all subjective based on what we think.
What about
The
people
chat seems to have mixed opinions too.
what about people that change the morals and then burn out?
Well, you can't really get much worse than that.
Shout out.
Well, I still listed him as one of the player I thought was respectable, at least until that happened, because he was consistent and prior to losing his morals, he did have strong morals, I suppose. But yeah, it's entirely subjective, and we all have our own opinions about what is respectable. Next question is, in your opinion, which skill has been devalued the most due to updates in old-school RuneScape?
I feel like it's obviously Slayer, but I'll give another example. I think that fletching was extremely devalued due to it going from a 1,000 hour skill to either up to you to choose a 100-hour skill to a 0-hour skill.
Well, Slayer's been devalued the most in terms of time, and Fletching's gone to 0 hours. In terms of like skill integrity, though, I feel like agility and mining have been the most affected. And Varrock Plate for mining and Motherload, and agility courses, rooftop courses for agility. So, like, in terms of skill integrity, mining and agility, but obviously in terms of hours, it's Slayer. And runecrafting, actually, because of the introduction of GE and legalization of alts.
Yeah, basically what VR and Bond said, but even though Slayer has been really devalued, there seem to be lots of people who seem to enjoy Slayer more. So it's not, even though I dislike that the skill is getting devalued, I guess it's good that the skill is more enjoyable.
Oh, I just did a few calculations. I would definitely it is a very I will bring this up. It's a very interesting point that fletching has basically been made 0 hours. So it's like, I'm just going to compare the other thing. Slayer has been devalued from an 8k hour 200 mil to a 5k hour 200 mil. And so it's basically like comparing that to something that has been devalued to 0 hours. I guess my reasoning for saying Slayer is probably worse is just because fletching wasn't that many hours in the first place, while Slayer got devalued by 3,000 hours. That is essentially like a 60k hour 200 mil. And so, I mean, 3,000. I mean, so many less people would be capable of doing 200 mil Slayer if it required 8,000 hours. And I would almost argue that Slayer has been devalued a lot more so than agility and mining in terms of like the integrity, just because Slayer is a lot different in terms of like the mechanics, how it was in the beginning. I mean, you have like Neve's Cave, you have the ability to skip tasks using points, you have the Slayer Helm, you have a lot of different armors that give you higher DPS, and tasks that obviously give you a lot faster XP per hour. So in the end, I would definitely say Slayer has been devalued the most.
Well, short-term integrity of Slayer hasn't really gone. I think it's harder to slay efficiently now than it was then.
Yeah, it costs money now. Slaying efficiently previously was almost like break even almost.
Well, that's due to the price.
I spent 20 mil on my 99 before cancels.
I would also agree with Slayer, but I wanted to ask you guys, because I didn't play back then, so I don't really know too much. What do you think the top page of Slayer would look like now if no changes had been made?
That's an answer for question for Finbar.
I think most of the people who are currently top page Slayer would still be top page Slayer. We just all
Like
have less
the
XP.
XP, how much? What do you think? It would look
I
like?
think Multiskilling would. So it was 40 mil approximately when it got changed. Gained 120 mil since then. So I think Multiskilling would be like 110 mil Slayer, maybe 115 tops. I would be like 50 mil Slayer max. ESLI Hero would still be 70 plus, I think, because his he'd be like 60 because he slays kind of inefficiently anyways.
Same with
Top page Slayer would probably be 25 mil rather than 35-ish. It'd be quite low because when I got 99 Slayer originally, Slayer top page was 13.4 mil. So
Finbar, you mentioned how Slayer is obviously costs a lot now, but why
Yeah.
did you bring that up? Considering you do a 0 GP method.
I'm just saying, but not everyone does 0 GP methods.
Okay.
Obviously, I do by flipping, but not everyone else does. So, but in my opinion, I could say Slayer, but I actually think it's runecrafting. Nature of runecrafting is no longer efficient, of course, and that's because of flipping. It's because of alts, and the GE. Obviously, the GE is a byproduct of that. So I think runecrafting got devalued more than any other skill because when oldschool came out, runecrafting was the go-to skill for your buyables, and now it's not. So you've gone from 27k an hour to 60k an hour as the new efficient way to train. That's more hours lost than Slayer.
This might be a bad argument, but like you could say that using runners was more efficient in the beginning, and then if we're just talking runecrafting here, using runners was more efficient than doing nats. And so therefore, from runners to lavas, it didn't get to.
Well, no, because runners were profitable in the first month, but they became break even quite quickly afterwards. You still have to find another way to make money then.
I mean, then how did like runes and Dusty make their money then?
They don't have a lot of money. Runes made money initially, but he doesn't make money anymore. Same with Dusty. Runes has done some abyss, I think like 25 to 30 mil, but runners is break even for him.
I mean, I don't know, just from going like 50k to like 60k.
Going
is
for
not a big deal
XP
to
per
me.
hour, then yeah, but in terms of efficiency, runecrafting suffered a lot because nature runes were efficient, now they're not. That's 27k versus 60.
Actually, now
As
that
opposed to 25k Slayer versus around 41k Slayer.
that is a very good point. Like, how many hours? Actually, so did runecrafting lose more hours than Slayer then?
Yeah.
Wow.
See,
So
99 to 187 million runecrafting XP at 27k an hour would be 6,900 hours. So, looking at that again, if you did lavas, it's 3.1k hours. There's this 3.8k hour difference, which is more than the Slayer change. So it's like 5k.
So I guess I might change my opinion then. If we're assuming the macro efficient mindset of the time, then I would definitely say runecrafting then over Slayer. Now that I think of it.
Yeah, it's a shame about runecrafting because obviously it was an efficient skill at the start to do via the abyss, and now it's not.
Yep.
Our final question we've been asked is in regards to recent events. How do you guys feel about the controversy surrounding the streamer EmilyIsPro and her RWT ban? I'm assuming everyone's familiar with this.
I'm not.
Just to explain to you briefly, EmilyIsPro is a popular RuneScape streamer who purchased 100 mil to pay back her staking debt. The person she purchased it from recorded it, attempted to blackmail her, and she admitted to her RWT to avoid being blackmailed. She received a 2-week ban from Jagex.
That's an awkward situation.
I think that it is good that they actually stepped up and did something, as there is a lack of punishments for gold buyers. Most people, or Jagex tends to punish the sellers more than the buyers, which I guess it's obvious why, but I definitely see where other people are coming from, where they think that the ban should have been permanent, but I think it's just I'd just be happy that they actually did something. I feel like it's surprised. I'm actually really surprised that they stepped up and yeah.
I do not believe the ban should be permanent. There are thousands and thousands of people that reward trade each year, don't get banned for it. Buying is not as a serious offence as selling, in my opinion, and it goes for, you can see that in real life laws with drug dealing, and purchasing of drugs and possession is a much less of a sentence than dealing or supplying. So, like, I don't know, like, there's so many, and half the people that are complaining getting a ban are probably like RWT themselves and not got away with it. Jagex gave us a statistic like 40% of the community have real world traded at some point. I don't know. I just feel like it's not that big a deal, 100 mil, and she shouldn't receive a permanent ban for it. But it is good that they did something, so I think 2-week ban is perfect.
Yeah, I'm surprised she even got a ban because I'm actually not heard about anybody who's actually bought money and been banned for it. But, well, I would prefer it if she got permanently banned. I think you should get permanently banned if you sell or buy money. Yeah. I guess that's all I have to say.
Well, I really kind of disagree with what Bond had to say, just because Bond stated that people, like thousands of people, like go every single day without getting permanent bans. Well, just because they don't doesn't mean she doesn't deserve a permanent ban. Like, I don't know. I really I'm also against what Bond had to say. Like, he thinks that selling is worse than buying. I personally, like, in terms of my perspective, I guess I think buying is a lot worse than selling because of the integrity of the old. So, like, if you were to like buy 800 mil GP, like that's like 700 hours of rune crafting, and so it just devalues so much time. Like, I respect time so much. So, I mean, like, if hypothetically no one perfect RWT'd, I wouldn't look down on his achievement for RWTing. But if a player like Etsk bought GP to be able to fund his 200 mil farming, then his achievement would be heavily devalued. And so, I don't know, like, I think she honestly should be permanently banned along with everybody else that buys GP personally. I mean, by no means am I saying that selling is okay. I'm just saying I think buying is worse. And so I think anyone who buys or sells should be banned, of course, because it's against the rules. But
without people selling, you wouldn't be able to buy. So how is buying worse than selling if you wouldn't be able to buy if you can sell?
But you have the opposite as well. If you're not able to, if no one is selling, you aren't able to buy as well.
Harder to ban the than the sellers.
And yeah.
Well, I think that it all depends on whether it's a fair punishment. Like, I don't know how often or what the length of time is for people that buy gold. If she's getting it doesn't matter what we think should happen to her. It depends on what the rules say. Like, if the rules say she should be 2-week banned, like, I don't know if that's just or not, because I don't know how long people usually get banned for buying gold. But if that's what she deserves,
they don't get banned.
Okay, well, then maybe she shouldn't get banned. Like,
yeah.
Whatever, like, just because she's a streamer doesn't mean she should. I guess making an example out of her is pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, if they ban a popular streamer, that's good. But I don't think she should be permabanned if other people aren't getting permabanned. Doesn't make much sense.
I'm inclined to go with Bond here. We've got to be realistic. I obviously, in an ideal world, you could say, yes, everyone should be permanently banned for breaking the rules, but using real-life examples, the punishments, legal punishment you receive for possession of drugs and purchasing of drugs are generally far less punitive than what you get for selling and distribution. That's because law enforcement agencies prefer to prosecute the sellers rather than the buyers, and I believe Jagex has a similar mentality. I think part of the problem is we don't know what kind of ban a normal player would get for buying gold, if they would even get banned. So everyone's saying Emily should be perm banned, but we don't really have a point of reference. It's not like player A bought 100 more gold and got perm banned, but Emily only got a 2-week ban. We don't know how long another player would get banned for doing that. Therefore, saying she should get perm banned may not be accurate because it's possible Jagex don't perm ban people who buy gold if it's only that much, for example.
Do you think, I'm just curious, do you think that, like, they're more mad at the sellers just because the sellers are profiting off their game? or something. Like I don't know.
Well, sellers pop up the game, and a single seller can fuel many buyers, of course. I think the
Yeah.
sellers are more destructive.
There's less buyers, there's less sellers than there is buyers, so it's easier to target the sellers rather than the buyers.
Okay, I just realized
German
something.
Dream just said sellers usually possess bulk drugs. That's the case in RuneScape too. The gold sellers usually possess a large amount of money, and far more than the buyer would buy at once. So.
I just wanted to say something really quick. I hate that she got a 2-week ban because then people are literally just going to go and buy 100 mil GP and just think that they can get banned for 2 weeks and then it'll be all okay. And
People
that's what
do it
really
now
annoys
and
me.
they don't get banned already. There's like, she's probably one of the only people this year. I'm saying, Brad, she's probably one of the only people this year that has been banned for buying gold. Like, no one gets banned for buying gold. So the fact that it's like the opposite of streamer favoritism, because she's like the only person that has been banned for gold is a streamer.
I think Jagex made an example out of her, which is a good thing. She received a ban, it was very public. Her reputation will be irreparably affected by this. And I think that's a just punishment.
She had much of a reputation to start with.
So Bon, why did they even ban her in the first place if everyone just gets
Well, they don't
around?
encourage reward trading, obviously.
But I mean, they're not going to do
I'm
anything
sure the
about it.
Jagex team had the reason for applying the offense and the ban that they did.
Another thing to note is that admission of crime is not proof. Just because someone admits doing something there's no proof.
Well, I mean, they could probably see the trade history on their account, but yeah, I know what you mean.
I don't get why, even though the government is targeting sellers in the real world, why that should be the same in RuneScape. And if there's no buyers, there will be no sellers, and if there's no sellers, there will be no buyers. I don't really
Jagex has bonds as a legal alternative to buy gold. It's just people often prefer to use gold sellers because it's cheaper, even though it's against the rules. If buyers are prosecuted more strongly, then that might actually be good for Jagex because they buy bonds instead, which profits a lot more for Jagex because it's obviously completely safe. There's another way of looking at it.
At the minute, there's like not much risk to buying gold. Let's be honest. Like hardly any at all.
So I wonder if Jagex banned her to encourage people to buy more bonds. Or, I mean, buy bonds rather than RWT or something.
I still don't get why buyers shouldn't get punished, or why sellers could get more punished though, but whatever.
Yeah, they should, but the fact is they don't, and it's easier to punish sellers than buyers.
How is it easier?
Because, like, the seller has, like, a lot
way
of
more
GP.
buyers. There's like hundreds of, it's like probably tens of thousands of buyers, but not that many like bulk sellers. And if you cut off a bulk seller, then you're automatically cutting about the amount of gold people can buy, so you're reducing the amount of people that buy anyway. It's fun.
And targeting the sellers reduces the RW team more than targeting the buyers because the gold is concentrated with the sellers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that concludes all the regular questions we have for the podcast, but we do have a discussion, which is for making money, how do you guys feel about flipping versus alts versus runecrafting? What methods do you see as better, I suppose? Like, how do you evaluate the various ways players make money? And do you believe there is a right way to make money in this game?
I definitely have like more respect for people who runecraft for their money, just because of the time it takes, and also runecrafting is not too easy of a skill. I mean, it's really slow and whatnot. But if we compare alts versus flipping, as they are the two zero-time money-making methods, I do respect flipping more, as it takes more skill and more knowledge in order to actually have a profit. But at the same time, both of them are zero-time money-making methods anyways, and you could argue that alts do require a lot of effort.
I think, obviously, in an ideal world, everyone would runecraft for their money. It's definitely the most respectable way to make money, in my opinion. You're wasting time just to keep your morals intact. Then again, I guess flipping does require you have to be intelligent to some extent to flip. It takes a lot of time and practice to master it. and not many people are capable of flipping at like a very high standard. Like it's not everyone can do it. With alts, I feel like most people can just mindlessly kill wyverns for hours on end. It's not very hard to master. It doesn't take much like mental. I don't know. It's just not very hard in my opinion. So I'm going to rank them with runecrafting, obviously the most respectable, flipping being the second most respectable, and alts being the least respectable way to make money.
I think this is a very hard question for me. I will guess I will go with flipping because I think it's something that's you're never able to like entirely master, and it requires a lot of time to get good at it, and to get as good as possible, you have to consistently do it for a very, very long time. I guess that's it.
Honestly, I mean, I'm not really, because I've talked to you a lot on TS, I'm not surprised, but like, if I didn't talk to you on TS, I'd be really surprised because of the amount of hours you spend in runecrafting. Like imagine if you, like, do you think would you value your 200 mil prayer and your 200 mil construction more so if you did it via flipping rather than runecrafting?
Very good question. Something like that. I will rather think about that for a while, but I don't think I would have valued 200 mil prayer and construction a lot more if I flipped for 100% of my money.
Alright, well, my answer is quite obvious. Runecrafting is easily the most respectable way to go, just because of the amount of sheer hours it requires to be able to pay for 200 mil with runecrafting. I honestly don't think, like, I honestly don't think anyone in the history of RuneScape will ever, well actually, here's a better way to look at it. No one in the history of RuneScape has ever used runecrafting as a means to pay for 200 mil, while several, like at least 10 people have used what is it called? Merching to pay for 200 mil, sorry. And it's just the sheer amount of hours to runecraft is just absolutely insane. It's like 8,000 hours basically to, well, I mean, I don't know if it's that many to pay for. Like how many? Okay, just a quick question, guys. How many hours of runecrafting do you need for 200 mil? Is it like 6,000, 7,000, something like that?
Whoa, depends what method you do.
6,000 hours of nature runes.
Nature, okay. Yeah, so 6,000 hours of nature runes. Like currently, no one perfect is the only player who would be capable of, I guess, paying for 200 mil via nature runes, and he's been runecrafting very consistently for the past 2.5 years. And so I honestly do not think anyone is capable of getting 200 mil with nature runes to pay for all their viables. Well, I think a lot of people are capable of using alts and merching, which are both unlimited GP per hour methods. And obviously, I'm very against GP per hour methods because they heavily devalue the amount of hours required to pay for your viables. I mean, it takes away from like 70% of the achievement if you use 0 GP methods, and so therefore I would rank it as what's it called? I would say runecrafting is most respectable, and then merching, and then alts. Just because merching, like, it does require some intelligence, and you also have to waste some time on your main to be able to do it.
I would agree with you there, Brad. Also, I don't even know how to flip. I wish I did. Seems like a really good skill to have, so I respect it a lot.
When it comes to runecrafting versus alts and flipping, what I respect of runecrafting is that the time requirement for runecrafting is immense, and I feel like anyone who can go through that must have a high amount of dedication towards the game, and very few people could actually runecraft their way to 200 all just because of the time requirement. But at the same time, I like flipping because I believe proper flipping requires a level of intelligence and awareness that isn't required for other methods. Like, flipping is arguably difficult because you have to learn how to do it, and there's a steep learning curve, especially for the high value items. Like, learning how to flip third age effectively is not easy, and you'll make mistakes and you'll lose money initially. You've got to be patient and determined to become a competent flipper. With oldscape, this isn't required. It's just oldscape's relatively low effort. It's completely zero risk, and that's why I don't really respect that as a way to make money, because it's a zero-time effort that doesn't really require a lot of skill to do. You just make a wyvern and you're AFK on it. I feel like flipping requires more skill than oldscape. Runecrafting doesn't require as much skill as flipping, but it requires a level of consistency consistency and dedication that you don't need for flipping, because flipping's objectively far less time spent actually flipping.
And then you have players that combine the both, like your boy Sten, who can runecraft and demonstrate skills with runecrafting and demonstrate skills with flipping, and combines the two to make money, which I think is admirable.
What if I runecraft while flipping?
Wow, then, mate.
Ideas.
And just
morals.
I noticed in the chat, Wilson stated that flipping feels a lot more rewarding in his opinion. I completely agree. I feel like successful flipping is mentally very rewarding to do, because I suppose you're not guaranteed to make money. So when you do succeed, I guess it gives you motivation to keep flipping, which can help people flip long term. When I first started flipping in old school, I wasn't that great at it. It took me some practice, but now I've had, say, 50 mil plus GP profit flips on items like Hood Age longswords and cloaks, etc. It really keeps me motivated to keep flipping for money. I've seen the success of my friends like Wilson, for example, who have flipped billions of GP, and I want to be able to do that myself, so I'm always motivated to do it.
So, Finbar, let me ask you, do you think more people are going to be able to get tuner Malal with flipping or nature runes? And will do?
I don't really know anybody currently who would flip all the way to 200 Malal. Even I can't say that I'm necessarily going to, because it's so far away.
Okay, here's a better question. Like, who do you think is going to, like, who do you think is able to do tuner Malal viables purely from flipping? Well, I guess, never mind. Like, tuner Malal viables.
I just feel like everyone who gets 200 Malal in old school is going to do oldscape. Except maybe Vestfold, who will flip.
Yeah, Vestfold, maybe.
Is there really no one else that flips in top age old school?
Vestfold and I are the main flippers in top 10. And he's going for 200 mil, or kind of, whereas I'm not necessarily. I'm just doing what I want to do.
Let's see.
We've also been asked, I've been asked by a couple of people to also consider staking and donations as two other methods that people use. And how do you guys feel about those? We discussed this a little bit last podcast, but it's been brought up again, so what do you guys think?
Calling staking a money-making method must be a joke.
It's very misleading because it's 50-50.
Yeah, it's like, how can you say that a gamble where with zero value, and with zero value I mean like votes is 50-50 and winnings is exactly like the loss. How can you say that something like that is a money-making method? Like, did you fail in math class or something? I don't know.
Yeah, I completely agree.
As much a money-losing method as a money-making method.
I feel it's unlikely anyone in old school will stake their way to 200 more. It's not going to happen, I don't think. You usually just mentioned odd staking. That's the only way to make a consistent profit out the arena, but there's so much competition for that. Every time I see people at the arena, you see like 10 to 15 people doing odd staking. I don't really think it's viable. Most high stakes appear to be max main. So, what about donations? I'm assuming we're all kind of unanimous on this, though.
Discussed it on the last podcast. Basically, general consensus was that alts are not donations are not a consistent source of money. So therefore, most people ranked them below alts. In terms, basically, you're not going to get donated 200 mil all at once. You might get a $1 billion donation, but you could go dry for donations for the next 3 years. So it's not very consistent.
Yeah, it's not a consistently reliable method of making money.
Yeah, if you're a streamer and you take donations, then it would become a consistent form because you could just get money from your viewers. I mean, it might not even be necessarily GP. I mean, back when the GE wasn't here, like Sicknerd used his viewers to be able to buy supplies, and while that's not like a donation, it helped him a lot in terms of like getting flies faster, and which could be seen as an unfair advantage.
That was
Um,
extremely minor, though. He had contacts that most top
Yeah, that's true.
players had as
yeah.
well.
Yeah, that's true, I guess.
So, do you guys think that most players who will achieve 200 more barrels are going to do it through oldscaping, flipping, or runecrafting?
Altscape.
Oldscape.
Altscape by far.
Yeah.
I agree.
Like, people don't want to have to use their brain to be able to play RuneScape. That's basically why they Altscape.
Oldscape is very. I'd almost say oldscaping is kind of lazy in a way, just because it's so easy to do to make an ult and just turn on the ult. It doesn't really require much thought. Probably the most thought you put into an ult is what kind of ult do you make. Whereas flipping kind of requires consistent thinking and being up to date with trends, developer blogs, persuading JMods to buff items like the Spectral Spirit Shield, and then making bank, as we've seen some people do, or losing bank if you're Wilson. So I feel Oldscape is much more reliable for most people as opposed to flipping. And runecrafting's just, it takes so long. I don't think anyone's actually going to do it. It's 200 more.
Someone mentioned Suomi in the chat, and I just have to say that when Suomi took the nations, it was a whole different area. It was him versus Tournament LOL, and he wasn't even really competing with anyone because he was like years ahead of everyone else. So that's why most people respect him anyway.
Someone mentioned Suomi. I fucking love you. Okay, mate. Do you understand the shit that Suomi had to go through, mate? He did all of this. He did 4 3K plus hour 200 mils back to back. No one in the hit. Okay, first of all, and he also has the most amount of hours ever in slow skills. And even if he didn't take donations, he would still be the first to 200 mil by far.
Essentially, the thing with Sony is like he was so far ahead of the competition that donations didn't really even make a huge difference to his change at all because he was even first by a long way anyways.
Yeah, I mean, it's so irrelevant in terms like the amount of hours he played, the amount he no-life very consistently.
They did save him. You can't deny they did save him several thousand hours though.
Oh no, I agree. I did save him thousands of hours. However, he's still better than anyone. He's still better than anyone except Drumgun, who's ever achieved 200 mil, and no one in RS3 or even maybe old school even matched when he did in terms of no-lifing consistently and just. He had morals though because he was very against spins and such like that. I guess because he didn't really value viables is so highly, he didn't really, I guess, do them.
Here's a question, just on a related note. Link's Titan, he's ahead of everybody in old school, and he's getting further ahead of everybody in old school. Do you think he would be able? If Link's Titan asked for donations, do you think he would get them? Would people donate to the Titan?
Yes.
I think so. I think so.
As well.
Really?
Yeah.
Who?
Sick Nerds fanboys. They make.
I don't know
fun of
if
him
he
all the time.
asked for it, if he would. Kind of desperate to ask for it, isn't it?
Yeah, but let's just say hypothetically Links decided to start asking for donations because he didn't feel like playing Skillers out anymore. Do you think people would give him money?
100% sure he would get lots of donations.
I think they'd give him money to tease Sick Nerds on stream because it's like a meme now.
I feel like people would definitely give him donations just because, especially if he said he thought he wasn't capable of getting it. I feel like if he said that, then a lot of people would donate to see someone actually get 200 mil.
I feel like not as many people care about 200 mil now, and they feel like Links will probably achieve it anyway, so they don't feel like their donation would make a difference. So, I don't know.
What if Oldscape became impossible because they made it against the rules again? So Lynx was forced to flip runecraft on his main or take donations.
Well,
he would runecraft for sure.
But
I feel like he would definitely runecraft because he enjoys
but that would be like the Stormy style era where you couldn't Oldscape.
Well, yeah, but the whole point of the question is that it's like nowadays, we think he'd be able to get donations. Well, I don't think he would be, but back then, yeah, he would.
I think he would, personally, just because he was so... People in the high level community very much admire Lynx for his ability, and I feel like they would want to help him achieve 200 more.
I feel like he wouldn't get nearly the amount of donations that Suomi did.
Not like Stormy, but I feel like he'd still get a couple... Maybe he might get $1 billion or $2 billion.
Yeah.
He has a lot of fanboys in the high level community, understandably so.
Oh, I thought you meant like enough for 200 mil.
Well, not necessarily enough for 200 more, but he might receive a substantial amount.
Oh yeah, he'd probably receive some donations, but yeah.
I mean, how much more does he need for tournament? Well, like, actually,
Quite a lot.
construction
So
program. I
he
didn't
doesn't
do
have Conan Prayer, and we don't know how much farming he's got banged either.
I'm pretty sure he probably has a lot of herblore bank and stuff.
Yeah, well, if you do Herbal efficiently, it doesn't really cost you anything because anti-venom's a profit. He'll spend lots of money on Slayer though.
But if he has money on RS3 still, maybe he'll transfer.
Maybe, or he's saving it for the new skill perhaps. They did say Inventor's gonna have a barbell component, so... Missouri just asked how much donations did Stormy? Yeah, I don't know the exact figure, but it was enough for 200 mil, so probably like 20 mil plus.
Yeah, I think it was like 20 mil. Yeah, he does take donations, gaming, alpaca.
Well,
We're talking
rather,
about
he
Randy.
took a single large donation. He doesn't actively ask for them, but he was given a lot for construction. But Suomi went out of his way to ask for donations because he believed he wouldn't be able to make the money himself or something like that. I can kind of understand why he did it.
He said like he didn't enjoy doing flipping and stuff. Like he wouldn't enjoy like leaving the skill he was doing to have to go flip all the time. That's
Yeah.
what he told me.
Didn't like taking a risk, even though it was extremely small.
Yeah, them gains, Joe, we will discuss that in a bit, don't worry. No, I think, as far as money-making methods long-term in old school go, it's going to be oldscape as the meta for GP making over flipping. Even though flipping is technically just as good, fewer people want to learn it, and they just rather take the easy route, which is using an alt.
I feel like people really like consistent money making. It's why like I feel like even like runecrafting is a lot more popular for making money, and I mean runecrafting and alts are a lot more popular for money making just because it's so consistent. I feel like flipping. I've never really flipped before, but I feel like it's not very consistent, and it really depends what updates come out, and you have to always be active and look at the updates all the time to see. Well, altscape and runecrafting, you don't ever really have to look at the prices that much. You'll know that they're always profitable.
I think it's more about you have to be updated in terms of flipping.
Development blogs, for example, you need to be reading those straight away. Like the Slayer development blog, I made 60 mil plus off that, but that's only because I saw it the second it came out, I read it quickly, and I realized that boots were going to go up, so I bought lots of Infinity boots and Ranger boots and such. And that kind of thing. Big Mo, for example, I know my friend Wilson, he knew that Big Mo was coming, more elites were going to be completed, therefore there was a chance of third age longsword or third age cloak coming into the game. He was aware of that, he took advantage of it, and he made a lot of money because he was able to get those items when they came into the game. Like him and I got a third age cloak for 513 mil and we sold it for 750. And that kind of, you gotta always be up to date with Reddit, Twitter, news posts, everything really to maximize your flipping money. Like your potential for flipping, because it's making money off updates and the hype train. And something we see in old school a lot that I feel like doesn't happen as much in RS3. People panic buy so much in this game. Like look at Spectrals for example. They went from 41 mil to 60 mil, and then they crashed to 35, and now they're 48 or 48 to 50.
Yeah, I'm struggling to understand those who bought Spectrals for 60 mil. I'm like,
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why did it do
What do they
it?
think was going to happen? Like,
Did they think it was going to double again to 120? It's what?
Well, I mean, like
Old school has a bandwagon mentality where everyone jumps on the train and just buys out an item and then they all sell it.
Well, you could argue that like what are those things called? Zamarakian spears, like they remain very high even after corp release, and so like could have been an item. It could have been Spectrals could have been the next Zamarakian spear. Like they could have stayed at an extremely high price. I don't know.
Yeah. Do you guys want to look at the couple of questions we've been asked by the stream?
Sure, go ahead.
sure.
The first question we were asked by How Do I Max was, how do you feel about the Iron Man community? Like, do you see it as a completely separate part of the game? Do you think highly about their achievements, or do you not care because it's totally separate? And he also wants us to consider that to max efficiently on an Iron Man, it requires 9k plus Zolwa kills.
I definitely admire their ability to grind and do bosses. I don't know, that seems extremely boring to me, but although I do grind multiple skills for probably equally as long. But when it comes to comparing them, I compare Iron Man to other Iron Man. I really don't look at them in any way compared to regular accounts. I think that's an unfair comparison, and it's just if you do that, their achievements are a lot more respectable, in my opinion. Just because like they're required to have uh, integrity or morals or whatever.
Definitely respect them. The whole like starting from scratch just to play competitive Iron Man has always been a. I don't think I'll be able to start my account again. So I respect that. I respect the achievements they get. I think I'd care more about Iron Man if the Zora thing wasn't so major. Like I don't feel like you should have to camp a boss for like. It's just not in the spirit of Iron Man, in my opinion, that you kill a boss to do like your skills. I don't know. I prefer if it was like more traditional, like not camping Zora, like collecting the resources rather than just getting drops. But yeah, I definitely respect Iron Man.
Yeah, definitely respect the achievements for Iron Man. Absolutely. I guess I don't really have much more to say, to be honest.
Well, I'm not going to be as hyped as last podcast about Iron Man. I mean, obviously their achievements are. I mean, you obviously can't cheat on Iron Man, making them like basically the sexiest types of accounts in the game. How do I Max mentioned like the Zora? Like I don't even consider the Zora kills. I mean, like no, I don't mean that. I just mean like it just doesn't mean nearly as much as if you had to, for example, mine your own PRS or have to kill a Slayer monster for a lot more time than killing Zora because it devalues the hours significantly. But yeah, I definitely extremely admire Iron Man and their ability to like Iron Man. You have to be such a well-versed player. You have to be knowledgeable on everything in the game. You can't just be a master at the most efficient methods on regular counts. Like you have to even come up with new methods in terms of like Ultimate Iron Man. Yeah, I definitely hold Iron Man to be highly respectable, and they have a lot more hours than it says in like CML and stuff like that. So yeah, you have to consider that.
Okay, well, doesn't even have an opinion. I have a large amount of respect for Iron Man achievements because I feel playing the game they do self-sufficiently is very difficult. You have to spend lots of time strategizing, trying to determine the best way to achieve your goals. And as Brad said, you've got to have a lot of game knowledge to be a successful Iron Man. Whereas you probably need less to be a successful main. I like the whole Iron Man mentality, and if it wasn't for the fact that I'd have to make a new account, I probably would have tried it myself. I just didn't really want to start over or anything because I've got so many hours on this account. And the fact they've got to do so much PVM, I don't know, it's such a grind. I don't know if I'd be able to do 9k plus Zoro myself because it's so much time required, and I like PVM, but I don't really like grinding bosses for supplies. I prefer to do bosses for a chance of the rare drop. Like, I like God Wars, but I don't really like Zoro that much. And Iron Man have to do a balance of skilling, grinding PVM, and just other Iron Man specific challenges makes Iron Man achievements especially impressive. I don't compare them to other players though, I compare them to other Iron Men, because you can't really compare an Iron Man to another player because the way they play the game is so different.
Well, I guess you could compare them in skills such as agility and hunter.
Yeah.
Well, actually, maybe not in hunter because of black chins, sort of. But yeah.
Yeah. Just to add on to this question, because Darude53 asked, if you guys all made Iron Man and wanted to be rank 1, do you think you'd have what it takes to be where Lilidor and Leslie are at? Like, in terms of progress on their account? Knowing what they've had to do to get there?
No.
I don't think I could do that many Zora kills.
Yeah, Zora is just a major no for me. I'd hate doing PVM for that long. Just to get some skill level, it'd suck.
I'd probably use the more traditional methods such as mining my own pure essence. If I was playing Iron Man, I wouldn't play it competitively. It'd be purely for my own enjoyment.
Ben?
Not sure, to be honest.
Okay. I like if I really wanted to, I reckon I could. I would have to gain a ton of knowledge about the game because I feel like I'm definitely capable of no lifing as hard as they have. However, like just that their pure game knowledge is insane. Like I for example, Falador would be in the same boat as me. He didn't have any knowledge about how to do Zora, and it took him a long time to be able to know how to do Zora. And so I feel like I would have to slowly learn how to do it like he had to. I honestly don't think I could like go through the grind of having to like it just seems so annoying having like 5 buckets of sand and soda ash from the store. Like I just enjoy autistic skilling, continuously gaining XP, doing the same exact thing over and over again. And when you make things like really varied, it annoys me. However, I love Iron Man and the fact that it makes content not devalued anymore. And so yeah. Oh well, not really not devalued. I'm sorry, but it makes it where you where like it makes content non-devalued, so certain pieces of content in game are viable on Iron Man, while on regular accounts they are.
I definitely don't think I'd be like where Falador is or Leslie, but I think that I could have been a high-rated Iron Man because I almost because I was only 2 weeks into my account when Iron Man came out, and I almost just quit and played it because it sounded so appealing to me. But I don't know. I my 2 weeks progress was too much to give up in my eyes because I didn't know how long I'd be playing. I think I definitely could have been top 2, maybe first page if I really tried at it.
I mean, I think I'm good at grinding skills. I could probably get to a high rank for Iron Man, but I think what I would struggle with is the amount of variance involved in Iron Man. Like, they just can't grind skills continuously. They often have to do dailies and other activities every single day, other than, say, just a farming run. I would find that quite difficult to do, just because I prefer to train my skills consecutively, back to back to back. And there's so much PVM grind involved with Iron Man. I'm not sure if I could do that comfortably. I very much respect what Falador and Leslie have achieved. They are very impressive players and high caliber skillers, even though they're Iron Man, so they're not really comparable to top pages.
So Finbar, you said you couldn't do Zora for the amount of time because you couldn't do that much PVM. Do you think you could mine that much PRS and runecraft at all?
No, it's so much pure essence. It's a hypothetical I can't really answer because I've just never really considered it as a possibility.
Yeah. I guess it's an interesting question. Like, what would you rather, like, mine PRS for and runecrafting or do Zora?
I'd rather do Zora just because it'd be faster, but I would find the Zora difficult. I'd still rather do it. I just find it difficult.
I see.
Alright, we're moving to our last question for the podcast. This was asked by them Gaines Joe, and I believe he's asking us, what do you guys think is the best efficient method that is required to achieve the fastest XP per hour? So, like, what is your favorite method that people use to achieve EHP or over EHP in a specific skill? Like free tick fishing, lava runecrafting, free tick woodcutting, etc. Like, what is your favorite efficient method that people use?
Wait, does it have to be over EHP?
No, it can just be anything, but I'm assuming he's referring to the fastest XP preferably.
I'd have to go with either 3-tick fishing or woodcutting just because it takes a lot of skill. At least if you're cutting caviar or whatever. Actually, woodcutting doesn't take as much skill, but the cutting caviar method, or cutting the fish and eating the caviar/roe method, I think that takes a lot of skill. I mean, I can't even master it. I'm sure I can, but I did it for... I probably have done it for like 20 hours in total. I still can only do like a couple fish in a row. I mean, it's a lot of fun, but yeah. I think it's one of my favorite just because I don't know much about it. I'm actually very motivated to practice it more. Yeah.
Oh, this question! Oh my god, the way he asked it is clearly a troll. The question that Finbar asked, I'm like favorite efficient method. I don't know. I enjoy like methods that have a learning curve. So I don't like to be amazing at the method as soon as I start. I like improving and getting better. So either granite or 3-tick fishing, I've seen the most improvement in the way I play. Even when I just did dog for a couple of days, I was shit when I started and I was decent when I ended. I just like getting better at a method and trying to perfect it is what I enjoy doing. So yeah.
troll questions, I'll give it a troll answer. A guilty tickets.
Wow. Well, my favorite method to do efficiently would definitely be door course. My favorite method to watch is like 1 or 2 tick prayer, like manual prayer. Like it's really sick when people do it. I just really enjoy watching it for some reason because it's so skillful to be able to do. And like if you do it without AHK or minimal use of mouse keys in AHK, it just looks so impressive to me to be able to watch and be able to do efficiently.
I haven't done much of it because I tried it for the first time last night, but I really enjoyed 3-tick fishing, way more than 5-ticking. It was like more engaging. I like the click intensiveness, like with the mouse, but I don't really like skills that you have to use lots of AHK or mouse keys for. I mean, I guess you're not obligated to use it for any skill, but it is very good to use it for some skills.
Yeah, that's
But
the thing about
3-tick
fishing.
Fishing is fun.
The thing about fishing is AHK is not required. It doesn't actually make it too much easier when it comes to efficient 3-ticking. It's like, in my opinion, it's just as easy to do manual as it is with AHK.
It's actually
So-
so with HK.
Yeah. I guess you could have like some coordinate to the fishing spot or something, but I don't know. It's just nice that it's not required to get like consistent good experience with it. It's just a little practice.
One of my favorite methods to watch is efficient mining. I like seeing players do it because I did mining and grinding myself, and I tried to be efficient, and I feel like it's quite technically challenging to maintain efficient mining for long periods of time. But the favorite efficient method that I actually do is efficient slayer. I like efficient slayer, I suppose, because sometimes it requires you to do almost unconventional methods like barraging smoke devils, for example. That's the efficient way to do them if you only care about slayer XP. So it's some kind of out of the box thinking required for efficient slayer, and that's something I like about it.
I also really enjoy doing efficient pyramid plunder. I also find that very enjoyable.
Oh yeah, me too. It's a lot of fun. Right, that concludes all the questions we have for this podcast. Are there any concluding thoughts you would like to say?
Not really.
Nope.
This will be the longest podcast, I believe. We reached over 3
Yeah.
hours.
Nice.
About 3 hours and 10 minutes, I think.
Well, I hope everyone enjoyed it, and if you have any questions you'd like to see asked for the next podcast, or just comments in general, please feel free to leave a comment in the comment section of the video. For future reference, these if you didn't catch this podcast live, they are always streamed on VL's Twitch channel. So thank you everyone for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.